You know, you can drink very heavily in cinemas these days. No.
Diverting late-night football conversation for prostitutes.
How dare you!
Chronic back pain sufferers.
Done the old back again.
And security guards who haven't quite nodded off yet. Wake up! The Michaels, Graham and Parry on Talk Sport. For when two mics are better than one.
Look at the light!
I have been a loser on occasions, but that has led overall to me being an incredible winner.
Really?
Yeah, I regard myself as a winner.
I know you do.
I walk down the street and as far as
You
I
regard yourself as good looking as well.
I
You
walk...
also regard yourself as slim. Pardonnez-moi.
I do not have le bouteille to, that means the bottle,
That.
for le punch-up. You know, I cannot do it.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes, and I'm delighted to say it's time to say a very, very good morning to Mr. Mike, a Porky, a Parry. Very good morning to Mr. Parry.
And a very good morning to you, Mike. And I have to say, I'm a bit underwhelmed by the FA Cup replays.
Underwhelmed?
A bit underwhelmed.
Well, you used to say that the FA Cup was the most exciting
It
tournament in the world.
It is.
You used to say that third round weekend was your most happy weekend of the entire year.
But they all sort of fizzled out a bit, didn't they? You know, they didn't go extra time.
Well,
there
exactly.
wasn't this dramatic penalty shootout.
I mean, last night was better, wasn't it, with Lincoln?
Last night was much, much better. I'd like to have seen, the Plymouth-Liverpool game end up in a penalty shootout and all that kind of stuff.
Well, you'd probably like to have seen Liverpool get knocked out, wouldn't you?
No, I have no prejudices about any other club except my own Everton. I don't care what happens to any other club. I neither like nor dislike any other football club.
Is that right?
My mate used to be the editor of the paper in Plymouth.
Oh, yeah.
You remember him?
No.
He used to be
I don't know which mate you're talking about.
Well, I can't remember his name,
Right.
but he was the North East correspondent of the Daily Express,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
he did the usual trick of, do you want to be like...
Not Alan somebody. Was it
Yeah,
Alan somebody?
it was Alan somebody.
Yeah, it was.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And his son eventually took over that job. So
Alan Qualtrough.
Qualtrough, very good, well done.
Thank you.
So
he was famous, of course, for the incident at his house, which should remain probably without any further names.
Just give me a hint.
The hint was that he had struck up a friendship, shall we say?
That's right.
With a young woman.
A secretary, I think.
No, she wasn't. No,
something to do with the Daily Express.
She was another journalist.
Say
She
again.
was another journalist.
Another journalist, yeah.
And this guy turned, and this guy was, of course, at home with his wife.
Yes.
And she turned up.
Yes.
Rather unexpectedly.
Oh, that's right, yes, I remember now.
It was a
Knocked
bit
on the door.
unfortunate,
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Exactly.
But anyway, old Qualtrough, a very good reporter
He
and
was.
all that. He took that career decision we do in our profession. That is, do you want to be, a sort of big shot in the Daily Express, or would you like to be a big shot in the regional press?
Yes.
Where you have an empire, but of course it's not a very big empire, and you don't have a lot of money.
King of the castle.
King of the castle.
Pool.
So
fish.
So he goes off to become the editor of the Plymouth Herald, isn't it?
I don't know.
I think it's the Herald.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Hasn't it got some name like which sort of refers to the
Pilgrims?
The Pilgrims. Or something?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, but
So it's not like a normal name for a paper. It's not like the Herald or the Bugle.
No, I think it's the Herald. But anyway, I just saw the front page of it today. I was just looking through the.
You saw the front page of the Plymouth paper.
Yeah.
Were you down in Plymouth?
No, but I was looking
were you
at. I was in the preparation for tonight's show. I was looking at the build up to the replay. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And they had a front page. It said something like, destiny, and all this kind of
really?
stuff. The moment,
Well,
and all
I
that.
suppose having got a draw at Anfield, they might have expected that they might have.
Well, this is what I'm saying.
Pulled it off.
This is what I'm saying, and that's why you feel it's so deflationary now, because it didn't happen. You know what I mean? And Liverpool sort of eased through. No, I saw that guy Qualtrough on the London Tube once.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I was.
After he'd moved to Plymouth.
Yeah, after he moved to Plymouth, because what happened was our other mate, Terry Manners, he joined the same group of papers, and then after about a year or something, they made Qualtrough his boss. He made him like regional editor of all those papers in the southwest. And
he was quite a good guy, Qualtrough. I thought
I think he was all right, but I was on the Tube once. It was only a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, going from A to B, and some bloke sort of sitting opposite but about 4 seats down was staring at me.
Yeah.
And I thought, it's just another...
another fan.
Just another interested sort of, observer or something like that,
right.
And I got quite unsettled by it because he wouldn't divert his eyes.
Right.
But
and at this point, you're thinking, do I recognise him myself? But you don't quite recognise him.
Anyway, so I got up to get off, and he leapt out of his seat, and he said, Mike, it's Alan Qualtrough.
Yeah.
And I said... What?
Who?
He said, remember, I used to work for you on the Express.
Right.
And the doors are about to close. And I said, oh, yes. bye. And I had to jump off the train and do a run. I've never seen him since.
Which you probably would have done anyway.
I probably would have done anyway.
Well, he might have offered you a column in the Plymouth Bugle.
No, I had one of those in the Portsmouth paper, thank you.
Yeah, what happened to that?
Well, I didn't have time to do it in the end. There was too much else going on.
I see.
But it was good of him to...
Well, they didn't fire you then.
What?
They didn't fire you?
No, of course not.
Are you sure?
Well, hang on. We've done the shows down in Portsmouth since then, and the local paper got behind us, if you remember.
Yes, they did.
Portsmouth Evening News.
Yeah.
Portsmouth News, actually. And very, very good and sterling paper it is as well.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe you should go back and do another column for him.
No, I think they can manage without me, actually. It's a very good paper, actually. I like it. It's got a lot of local character in it and all that kind of stuff.
Have they not started a local radio station down there as well?
Hey?
I think they've started a local radio station down there as well.
They've always had a local radio station.
No, but the people that own the newspaper have started a new news.
They've always had connections with the local wireless operation.
This is a new news-only station. It's like a rolling news station.
Oh, really?
For Portsmouth.
Is it?
Which must be quite difficult to fill, I would have thought.
How do you know about all this?
I told you about this months ago.
Did you?
Yeah.
Listen.
You've completely forgotten.
Yeah, listen.
By the way, the tennis is on, right? We've got Johanna Konta. She's currently one set up against Naomi Osaka.
Yes.
We'll be talking to Lisa O'Sullivan about that throughout the night.
Yeah.
But also Kyle Edmund is playing as well.
Who?
Kyle Edmund is another one of the great British hopes.
Yes. I'm aware of that. Yeah. Okay, that's great. Now, listen, there's lots to cram into the show tonight. Delighted that the guys who run the flat bottle of wine company are coming in. I'm really looking forward to that. That's great. Not that I'll be taking any, of course.
Wasn't there a wine that was called Long Flat White?
I've no idea about that.
There was,
but you're going to make an apology to them, aren't you? Because you said that the contents of their bottles must be rubbish, but you've found out since that actually it's specially prepared for them.
No, I have not found out anything since. I'm going to be asking them several questions about what the content's going to be like.
No.
And I'm going to be trying it, but I'm going to be doing it in the spirit of proper wine tasting. I'm going to take it into my mouth and I'm going to spit it out.
Yeah, but you said that if they're shipping the wine over in bulk and then putting it into these plastic bottles, it must be rubbish.
It will be, yeah.
You have since changed your mind.
No, I haven't.
Yes, you have.
No, I have not.
You've said you've learned that they actually pay quite a good deal of care to the wine that goes into their bottles.
Once again, you didn't listen to what I said.
I listened all the time.
What I told you was that apparently something like 57% of Australian wine, which is now brought into the country, is brought in that manner.
In that manner.
Which is not to say that the wine is any good, because some of the marques which are using that method are the sort of wine that I would never buy.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I'm not going to give the names out because people might get upset.
Now,
but it's basically the stuff you can buy in a supermarket for about $4-5.99.
Well, we'll find out from the chaps who've done it. I admire entrepreneurs. I admire people who get going, do their own thing, invent something new, plough their own furrow. I admire people like that who get on with life,
Excellent. Now, we're also going to talk to a guy who's very, very interesting as well.
Yeah, who's that?
Who's a guy called Mr. Best. Mike Best, his name is, actually.
Well, same as George.
Same as George. I don't know if they're related. He's in the United States of America.
Yeah, and what's
he
doing?
He's been responsible. He's a freedom of information activist, right? He's responsible for getting the CIA to release 13 million pages of previously unreleased documents.
What for?
Many of which are classified. Because the world has a right to know what the CIA documents say.
No, it doesn't.
Well, and then you won't be interested to find out anything then about the papers from Henry Kissinger. Several 100,000 pages of intelligence analysis.
Quite interesting.
Right? Science research and development. The Stargate project, which is all about aliens and psychic powers and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, if the enemies of the Western freedom get access to these pages as well, what a ridiculous exercise to go through.
Absolutely not.
That's the problem with democracy.
No.
Democracy is too fair.
You would like to live in a dictatorship, wouldn't you, as long as you're on the right side of the dictator?
I don't think there's anything wrong with benevolent dictatorships.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't like it if you were on the wrong side of it.
Well, I wouldn't be on the wrong side of it. I'd make sure that I position myself on the right side of it.
You'd be creeping around. So if you lived in North Korea, you'd be quite happy to creep around Kim Jong-un and execute anybody who didn't agree with him.
No, North Korea is a vile country.
It's
a disgusting prison camp of human people. Benevolent dictatorships are where you have strong rule for the benefit of the people.
Give me an example of a benevolent dictator.
A benevolent dictator may
Somebody that you would admire.
Well, I don't know whether I admire him or not, but Franco, the leader of Spain...
Franco.
Yeah, he kept a fairly stable country.
Tiny little ship,
for 3 or 4 decades.
He only locked up a few thousand people.
He didn't lock a lot of people up. I wouldn't have any jails in my benevolent dictatorship.
My father was warned off the promenade at San Sebastian by Franco's police.
Really?
Because he was not thought to be properly dressed.
Well,
and they said if he didn't put a shirt on, they'd arrest him.
I support that. I support that. You've got to keep up decent standards.
It's a beach resort.
And a benevolent...
It's a beach resort.
A benevolent dictatorship is a good way to remind people of how life should be led.
How are your teeth, by the way?
My teeth are settling down, thank you. They're much better today than they were yesterday.
Excellent.
And I've expanded my I've expanded my dietary requirements.
Oh, right. So you've been able to eat something other than mashed potato and boxed gravy.
Yes.
What did you have today, then?
I had quiche with the crust cut off.
Quiche?
Yes.
What sort of quiche?
What was it?
Real men don't eat quiche, you know that, don't you?
Yeah, of course. Ham quiche.
Ham quiche?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, but I cut the crusts off in case they were a bit too strong for my still new teeth. You know what I mean?
Well, the crust is usually quite sort of limp, isn't it?
Well, it doesn't matter. I didn't.
Where'd you get the quiche from?
Didn't risk it. Tesco.
Really?
Yeah. Sorry, what's wrong with that? Sorry, why do you mock 7 million people who shop at Tesco?
I don't mock them at all.
Yes, you do. You're mocking them because you're laughing. No, you're not.
No, I'm mocking you.
No, you're not. You're
I'm not mocking
half the
anybody
world.
else. No, there's nobody like you, okay? So when I mock you, there is nobody else in the world that I'm also mocking.
No.
I'm simply mocking you for being a plank.
Yeah, well, that makes you, a figure of fun.
Does it?
Yeah,
Okay.
as you'll find out from the response from our millions of
We'll
followers
see.
on Twitter
We shall ask them.
and social networking.
We shall ask them.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. Steve Nichols coming up a little bit later on. We can ask him
Excellent.
about how he thinks Jurgen Klopp is getting on.
Yeah.
There were those who thought Jurgen Klopp wasn't interested in the FA Cup, and that the team that he put out against Plymouth Argyle in the first game actually was proof that he wanted to get knocked out.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure if that was ever the case.
No, I don't think it was the case. I think that I do understand the finances of a football club in the Premier League these days, and the FA doesn't bring you a lot in terms of monetary reward, of course. But there's an element of glory about it, and I think that should be more respected.
Okay.
And sometimes foreign coaches, I don't think necessarily appreciate that.
Well, I mean, he's into the next round and they're playing Wolves, so there's every chance that they'll get through that and get into the fifth round.
Yeah, I'm sure
as
they will.
well. And what about your mate Rafa Benitez?
And by that time, they'll probably be in the final of the League Cup as well, won't
Very
they?
possible. Well,
Yeah.
actually, you never know. I mean, they didn't get an easy tie against Southampton, did they?
No.
I mean, that wasn't
No.
that wasn't straightforward either.
I think they'll overturn a 1-goal deficit at Anfield. Well, they may not.
Yeah.
That's true. They may not, yeah.
I think that would be disrespectful to Southampton. As
Yeah,
people
it would
say,
be, yeah.
for
Now,
you to say
Rafa,
that's
what are you
an
saying
easy-
about Rafa?
Well, I was just hearing Rafa saying that he was very happy to get Newcastle through to the fourth round
Yeah.
as well.
Who are they playing?
Well, they played Birmingham.
Yeah, who are they playing in the
Who are
next
they playing
round?
in the next round?
Yeah.
I think in the next round, I should tell you.
Yeah.
Let's see, where are they? Newcastle. I
Yeah.
can't find
You got
them.
it? Yeah.
No, can't find them.
No? Okay.
No.
Haven't got the information at your fingertips.
I've got it at my fingertips, but I
Yeah.
just can't see Newcastle.
Okay, never mind.
Never mind.
Right, now then, have you ever read a book by the self-help guru and hypnotist Paul
Oh, here we go.
McKenna?
They're playing Oxford United away.
Away.
Oxford United.
Well, that won't be much of a...
Well, that's again disrespectful to Oxford United, isn't it?
No, Newcastle will easily... they'll wipe the floor with Oxford
You
United.
think?
Yeah, of course they will.
Oh.
Yeah, they will, yeah.
Okay.
So that sort of guarantees them a fifth-round place as well, doesn't it? Now, have you ever read a book by self-help guru Paul McKenna?
Well, we've actually interviewed Paul McKenna.
What, on
You
the
and
show,
I.
have we?
Yes, we have.
Have
yeah.
we?
Yeah.
What was that about?
Well, he's always doing self-help books. He's always doing all kinds of books, and he's of course a master magician, isn't he?
Well,
Hypnotist.
he's a hypnotist. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Now
Very successful man. He's the sort of guy you would admire, I would have thought.
Well, I do. He's now worth £65 million
Well, there
in
you
the
are.
latest rich list,
Yeah.
right? And he writes all these books, and I'll give you the title of some of his books, okay? I Can Make You Thin. No, seriously.
I bet he can't make me thin.
Next one, I Can Make You Rich.
Yeah, well, okay.
So why haven't you read it?
Why haven't I read it?
Yeah.
Because I don't read self-help
Don't you want to be
books.
rich?
Not particularly.
Don't you want to be thin?
Not really.
Right, the next one, I Can Make You Sleep.
I don't have any problem sleeping.
You, don't have any
You
problem
should do
sleeping?
that one.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I Can Make You Smarter. Now, why didn't you read
Smarter?
that?
Well,
Yeah.
I don't think I could be any smarter.
Well, you don't want to get smarter.
Well, if I get too smart, then the trouble is everybody else is going to be so inferior to me that
Crikey.
I would feel wrongly about that.
You need a book saying, I can make you lose your self-delusions.
No,
right.
I think that's one for you.
I can make you smart. The next one, I can make you happy.
Happy? I'm very happy. You should. I mean,
I mean,
you're doing. This
it's
is actually.
ludicrous.
Is this an exercise in projection? Because I mean,
Eh?
you need the one to make you happy. You need the one to make you sleep.
I don't need a book
You
to
don't
make me
need-
happy.
You need the one to make you slim.
The pursuit of happiness is a ridiculous pursuit.
Well, it's not actually.
It is.
Well, as we've said many times,
Yes.
I don't pursue happiness because
Yes.
I already am happy, so I
Yes.
don't actually have to pursue it.
And then what about this one
Go
here?
on.
Instant influence and charisma.
Well, I've already got plenty of that.
You think you have?
Yeah.
Have you got any influence?
Yeah, depends on which people you suspect me to have influence with.
Anyway, the reason I tell you all this
Yeah.
is because I have just found out that Mr. McKenna, who is sometimes prone to bursting into tears on TV interviews and things, because he gets very emotional, all this kind of stuff,
Is
you know?
he?
Yeah.
I don't think I've
apparently.
ever seen him bursting into tears. He didn't burst into tears when we interviewed him.
Well, I think he sometimes gets a bit emotional about his past or something like that.
Does he?
Yeah, I hope I'm not...
You hope you're not misreading what you've got in one of your journals.
No, not at all. But anyway...
You don't remember interviewing him, do you?
I don't actually, no. I can't. What did we talk to him about?
Well, one of his books, funnily enough.
Okay, well, there you go.
But
So
I don't know
must be
which
one
one.
of those subjects.
I don't remember which one it was.
Anyway, the next one is...
Yeah.
The next one is called Get Control of Sugar Now.
Sugar?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you could do with that as well. You're the man that puts 7 sugars in your coffee.
Well, I didn't put sugar in, but...
You did. I watched you put 7 sugars in your coffee on the train back from Newcastle. I watched you do it.
Right, okay. Anyway...
You just said you didn't.
Well, I don't remember doing that, but
Don't
I may, if you said I did. Now then, the point is that... I mean, without, sort of putting any question mark over this man's success and his ability and all that.
Well, he's a very successful man.
He's very successful.
But also a very wealthy man.
Oh, he's very wealthy, yeah.
So you want to be careful about maligning him.
I'm not maligning him. What I'm saying is this. I think that
sue your ass.
I think his the clever bit about Paul McKenna is not necessarily what's in the book.
No.
But the titles of the books, which people instantly grab off the shelves.
I mean, there are people in the United States, for example. There's a guy called Tony, I can't remember his last name now, who has become an incredibly successful and wealthy guy.
Yes.
Who was just a nobody, who decided that he was going to start doing this kind of self-help seminars.
Right.
Send you the DVD to your house.
Yes.
And he was doing books as well.
Yeah.
And these guys make millions and millions because everyone wants to be told how to do something.
Yeah.
That's the trouble.
Did you know that, we used to watch Little Britain, didn't we? With Matt Damon.
Tony Robbins, that's right. Yeah, yes, we did.
With, who was it? The two...
Well, David Walliams.
David Williams and Matt Lucas.
And
Matt Lucas, when he did The Hypnotist and all that, look into my eyes, that's from Paul McKenna.
It is?
Yeah, that's right. I didn't realise
Has anyone ever tried to hypnotise you?
No.
You've never gone for it?
I don't think anybody would be able to.
Well, you should try it.
I think my willpower's
Maybe
too
we should
strong.
get a hypnotist on the show.
But anyway, what I'm saying...
Although, funnily enough, I wanted to do that once in Edinburgh.
Yes.
And they said I couldn't do it because you're not apparently allowed to have somebody try to hypnotise somebody live on the air.
No.
It's against Ofcom's rules.
Well, exactly.
In case you hypnotise the entire world.
Exactly. But what was so interesting was, I was reading the background to Paul McKenna. I wondered, how do you suddenly become a self-help guru?
Yes.
You see what I mean?
Yeah. Get a good agent, I would imagine.
It's a bit like when, sort of journalists that we've worked with over 20 or 30 years suddenly become a professor of journalism.
Yes.
I'm not sure how it happens.
Or a very successful PR person.
Yeah, or something like that. But anyway, so Paul McKenna was a schoolboy from Enfield, okay? He said, I just always knew I was going to be famous. So I started practising my autograph when I was 7, okay?
Right.
I thought I was going to be James Bond, actually, or a drummer in a pop group. I left school with a smattering of qualifications. Then I started DJing at Top Shop on Oxford Circus in London, okay?
Right. Okay.
I progressed to Radio Caroline. And picked up a fascination with hypnotism.
Right.
I call this the weirdy woo stuff, okay? So, after interviewing a local hypnotist on air, he got the fascination for hypnotism. He read books on the subject, taught himself how to do it.
Yeah.
He practised on friends. So, that's a bit dodgy, isn't it? I want to practice my hypnotism. Will you volunteer?
Right.
But nothing happened to any of his
So was he
friends.
never a magician as well in some way, shape or form?
No.
He's only ever been a hypnotist?
No. Performed at university campus balls.
Right.
Called himself the DJ by day, the hypnotist by night.
Right.
He gained more and more profile, landed his own TV show, The Hypnotic World of Paul McKenna, way back in 1993. So that's like 23, 24 years ago.
Yeah.
He then... segged, i.e. morphed, moved, you know what I mean?
Segued.
That's right, segued, yeah.
Is that now a word then, segged?
Yeah, it's a word now.
I don't think that's a word, is it?
Well, it is, yeah. It's in the dictionary.
Is it?
Into the motivational speaker and self-help scene, and then started producing these books. Now, he obviously, it was a brilliant idea. If you walk down W.H. Smith's and you see the title of a book with a big title on the front, I Can Make You Thin, and you're a fatso, you're gonna buy it, aren't you?
Lots of people are going to buy it who are not actually, as you would describe them, fatsos. They might just want to be a bit thinner. Johanna Conter's just won, by the way.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I just want to pass that on. Well, it is interesting. She's, Britain's, foremost female tennis player.
I'm glad.
And she's done very well.
Now,
the next round.
Even more so, I mean, there are millions of losers in life. You agree?
I don't regard people as winners and losers.
Yeah, well,
I mean, that is your category, not mine.
Yeah.
I would not ever say to somebody, you're a loser.
Millions of losers in life.
No.
And if you were walking through Waterstones or W.H. Smith's and you suddenly came across a book which said, I Can Make You Rich, you'd probably buy it, wouldn't you, if you're a loser?
No, I wouldn't buy it.
Because you want to be rich, right?
Yeah, no, but the sort of people who buy those kind of books are looking for something.
Yes.
They want to better themselves.
Yes.
They feel as though they have low self-esteem.
Yeah.
They want to make themselves into something
they're not. That's why I would never buy it.
Well, you don't need to because you're already rich.
I don't have... No, I don't have low self-esteem.
Well, you do, actually, but you just have a different form of it.
Then also, there are some people who sort of just can't get their lives together. They're constantly irritable. Yeah. They have insomnia. And they see a book says, I can make you sleep. You're going to buy it. You're going to buy it.
Well, you're going to buy it if you can't sleep. I mean, you don't need much sleep, so you wouldn't buy that one. What if he did one saying, I can make you more likeable?
I can make you more likeable. Well, I think he's got one, because it says here, I can make you smarter. Now,
smarter doesn't mean more likeable.
No, but you see, again, he's worked out the fact that there are millions of losers in life, and therefore...
No, I wish you'd stop categorising people as losers.
Well,
I think that's very unfair.
Most people are losers. Most people in life are losers.
Well, most people in life are not losers.
No, they are. They are, honestly.
Your definition of a loser, right, is according to your own rather narrow definition of what you think people should live like.
No, to some extent, I'm a loser. We're all losers, really.
Oh, so we're all losers
Well,
now.
we could be.
I'm not a loser.
Well, you
get lost if you think I'm a loser.
No, you are a loser.
How am I a loser, then, in your definition?
You lost all the property you owned.
How does that make me a loser?
Because you haven't got any, and you've sort of lost people in relationships along the way.
Like who?
Well, I mean, your first wife to start off with.
Yeah, so how does that make me a loser? Well, some people might say that makes me a winner.
No. I would say that, you weren't able to hold a domestic situation together. And then if you see
and your definition of you being a winner is what, then?
Well, I haven't
Not ever having had anybody that loved you, not ever having ever had a relationship with someone which was fulfilling, not ever being able to actually wake up in the morning and think, people really like me, I really have a nice life, rather than waking up every morning on your own thinking, actually, life is terrible.
No, you're putting words in my mouth.
Well, I'm just giving you what you just gave me.
What I'm saying is, you walk into Double H Smith, I can make you smarter. Most people want that. Then the next one, I can make you happy. Now, for some unknown reason, about 90% of the world pursue the ideal of happiness.
A lot of people would like to be happier.
Which is crazy, because it's unachievable. It's unattainable.
Well, it's not, actually. I'm very happy.
Unless you've got anxieties in your life each day, then you're not leading a proper life.
The world, according to Porky, right, is all very well for comedy entertainment, but if anybody actually ever wanted to live their life sensibly, they would do much better than to take any advice from you. I mean, because actually you can be very happy without all of the trappings of what you would regard as happiness.
Yeah.
Without having them.
Hang on, even Dave What's-His-Name from...
Dave What's-His-Name?
The great group, Here Comes the Rain Again, with Annie Lennox. Who was that? Annie Lennox.
Oh, you're talking about the Eurythmics?
Eurythmics.
Yeah.
Here comes
He had Paradise Syndrome, didn't he?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So he had the perfect life, wealthy beyond belief.
No, he didn't have the perfect life.
Very talented.
Wasn't happy.
No, that's what I'm saying.
He didn't have the perfect life.
And he said, my problem is, everything is so perfect in my life, I'm suffering from Paradise Syndrome.
You don't know what
So what I'm saying is, you can't be happy. You can't be happy.
What you're saying is money doesn't necessarily make you happy, because it doesn't.
Nothing can make you happy.
Well, that's your own twisted view of the world.
So what I'm saying is, to publish a book with the title, I Can Make You Happy, is the greatest challenge anybody's ever had. They're going to buy that book and think to themselves, I don't believe it, but I'll see what the theory is. But you still won't end up happy.
Well, you don't know that.
Because, I tell you what, I think you'd end up more unhappy by trying to chase the ideal of happiness in this book.
I don't think you should chase happiness, but I think you can be happy without having to actually strive to be happy. You just have to be happy.
Well,
don't worry.
Yeah, but I mean, that's... what's that ridiculous song, Don't worry.
I just said it.
Be happy. Oh, is that it? Yeah.
Don't worry, be happy.
Don't worry, be happy.
It's a very sort of Caribbean view of the world. It's
unless you are anxious each day, unless you have anxieties, unless you think and dwell on, life's irremovable hurdles and barriers.
No, you're wrong.
Then I'm afraid you're either on drugs or you're
completely wrong.
Or you have you've literally exited
You're completely
race.
wrong. You're completely, you could not be more wrong.
No,
absolute load of cobblers.
No.
It was 10 minutes if he has 7 sugars in his coffee.
No, I don't drink very much coffee very often.
No.
I don't drink it on a daily or regular basis.
No,
okay?
Nat says this. I wouldn't worry about Ofcom. No one listens to you anyway, apart from me. As far as Ofcom is concerned, says Nat. Dazza says, I can make you thin. How many of these books has the svelte Mike Parry bought?
Yes, well, I haven't actually, because I do believe that you've got to sort of self-motivate yourself to get things done in life.
Yes.
Look, I appreciate that. I'm not knocking it. I think Paul McKenn's a very successful man.
Well,
good
he
luck to
certainly
him.
is.
I like successful people.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that what
but
he's
you're
managed
basically
to do...
dissing everybody who buys his books.
No, I'm identifying a need in society, and he's identified it, and he's tried to help people who need help.
Well, maybe you could do a self-help book.
I don't need help.
No, but maybe you could write a self-help book and make a load of money off it.
Well,
what would it be called?
It would
How to be a snob like me.
No, that's a bit unfair. I mean, I could easily write a self-help book and tell people how to be a success. How to be a success.
How to be a slum landlord.
No. But I wouldn't want to make huge profits out of it because I would do it for the benefit of mankind, the benefit of society.
Matt says this, seriously, what in the hell is wrong with Mike Parry?
What?
That's what the question is. Well, he's been listening to you for the last 10 minutes, and that's his conclusion.
No, there's nothing wrong with me at all. I just sort of, I just feel I have to tell it as I see it. Because you can't go around in life, can you, sort of trying to second-guess everybody and saying things you think you want them to hear just to make you popular.
Want you to hear. Well, John says this. I'm just going to watch the video of Porky doing the cinnamon challenge again to remind myself what a winner looks like.
Yes.
I think he's meaning that with his tongue placed firmly in his cheek.
Is he? Yeah.
And Steve says, I bet Paul couldn't publish a book called I Can Make You Do Well in the Porky Quiz or Keep Quiet for More Than a Minute.
That's a bit harsh.
And this one from Scottish Bull says, Porky is a loser, never married, no kids, no friends, sacked from every job he's been in, overweight and a dodgy heart.
God, loser. That's very nice.
That is a bit harsh.
That is very nice, very harsh.
Well, you see, people will cut you to the quick if you start cutting them to the quick.
Well, I'm not cutting anybody to the quick. Listen, talking about winners, by the way, I think we should have a mention as a tribute to Baroness Hayhoe-Flint.
Well, do you know what?
Who is Rachel Hayhoe-Flint.
Yeah, Rachel Hayhoe-Flint. It's a fabulous woman.
A fabulous woman. Yeah. Sad to say that I'm afraid she's passed away, but did an enormous amount to progress the cause of women's sport in this country, with cricket, obviously, but in so many other ways.
I spent a great weekend with her, actually.
Did you?
In La Manga, in Spain. There was a golf tournament started up by some travel company, right? And they came to me and said, it was mostly because La Manga was on the European tour for a long time. But there was something terribly wrong with the watering system. And basically all their greens...
Watering system.
Yeah, the watering system. All their greens got ruined.
Right.
Because they were using the wrong kind of water, which was in some way contaminated, right?
Yeah, they got it from a borehole or something.
Well, I think it's the local... I mean, in some parts of Spain, local water isn't very good.
It is, yeah.
And so they've been taken off the circuit because the greens just weren't really good enough. And so in order to sort of try and bring La Manga... So people have stopped going there.
Right.
As on holiday and stuff like that.
Right.
And there was loads of Brits who had, holiday homes around it. It was down in Murcia.
Right.
We were talking about it the other day.
Murcia.
And so I was approached, and I was working for the Express to bring a press team down to play in this golf tournament over the course of a weekend, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Sounds good.
All expenses paid. They were going to fly us down there. But we were the only press team there, and everybody else was mostly from Germany and Switzerland.
I see.
From various travel companies and stuff. And it was a fabulous weekend, and everyone had a sort of... a mentor, and she was our mentor and used to hang around with us. And she was a wonderful woman, very funny, very engaging, told great stories, had a great sense of humour. I was actually quite shocked when I saw that she died. She's only 77.
Yeah, I know. It's a shame. She did so much. I mean, I remember as a kid, she was quite a novelty, really, in the sense that she was a woman cricket player.
Oh, she was a great sort of arbiter for the game.
But I tell you what, she rose above the game in the same way as Beryl Burton did as a cyclist. I mean, Beryl Burton was the only female cyclist I'd ever heard of.
I don't know her.
Don't remember her.
No.
She was the Yorkshire girl who was so good at cycling. She was better than most men that she competed against.
Yeah.
And she sadly died recently. But no, Rachel Hayhoe-Flint, you're absolutely right.
There's a couple of great stories I could tell you from that La Manga trip, but I'd have to sort of water them down slightly. So I may do that later.
Yeah, well, I think you should,
as it gets a bit later on. Now, I've got a surprise for you, though.
Oh,
Did you know that there was a bit of Everton chat? Alan Brazil must have been listening to you the other night when you said that you didn't think the Sports Breakfast had paid enough attention to Everton's victory over Manchester City.
Yes.
And Yannick Bolasie joined Alan Brazil and Ray Parlour.
That's right.
Yesterday morning on the Sports Breakfast.
Just suffered a terrible injury, I'm afraid.
Yes, I know. But there was a bit of a surprise as well. Do you want to have a listen?
Yes, please.
Go on.
From what I've seen, he's a good player, definitely.
Yannick, have you been taking much of the African nations in? Have you been watching most of the games?
1 second, I'm just getting picked up by Rob.
Tell us when you're back. Have you watched any of the African Nations Cup?
Is it?
Postman, have you watched them?
Is that Ross Barkley knocking on his door?
I don't know.
Is there still someone at the door? I don't know.
Yeah, hello.
Hello, Yannick.
Oh, you're back, Yannick. Well, who was that?
Who is it?
It's me. I just linked up with the top goal scorer of the club.
I hope he's not going to Chelsea.
Can you pass the phone over? Can we have a word with him as well?
Yeah, hello, yeah.
How are you? Yeah, great result against City, wasn't it? Marvellous. That puts Everton back.
Yeah, it was a great result for us. I think it's going to put us back on track for the rest of the...
You've been linked with Chelsea again, but can you say to the Everton fans you're very happy at Everton and really enjoying your football?
At the minute, I'm just focused on the season. I'm not really reading it, so I'm not reading anything about it. I'm just focused with the team. And whatever you guys write is whatever you write. But that's for me, I'm not focused on.
Romelu Lukaku picking up his mate Yannick Bolasie from his house.
That's
Isn't that
right.
a terrible bell he's got?
It's shocking bell.
Really awful bell.
Rather loud and all that kind of stuff. But
just it was like a sort of, just not the kind of bell you would want in your house.
Well, I like the bells that play tunes, like dong, 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 dong.
Really?
Dong,
is that the kind of bell you've got?
Dong, dong.
Is that the kind of bell you've got?
No, I disconnected my bell because people kept ringing it. No,
what? So what if somebody wants to get hold of you?
They can't.
They can't.
No. I don't. If I'm expecting somebody, then I always arrange to sort of meet them downstairs or something like that.
What, you mean if somebody's delivering something?
Well, delivering, yeah. Or
well, how do they know when they're going to be there, though?
What do you mean?
Well, if you're getting something delivered,
yes,
generally speaking,
yes,
you don't know when it's coming, apart from during a period of several hours.
I always manage to get back to the company that's concerned and say, could you tell your person, please, to ring me on my mobile 5 minutes before they're here, and I'll meet them downstairs.
Right, okay.
And it's never failed me yet.
Right.
But
So you just stand around downstairs until they turn up?
Yes, I do, actually, yeah.
That's a bit odd, isn't it?
No, yeah, but it's a very efficient system because then, I mean,
if they're delivering something like quite bulky, you have to then carry it upstairs yourself.
No, they carry it. They bring somebody else with them to carry it upstairs.
Oh, what? So you meet them and then you escort them upstairs?
Yes, that's right, yes.
Really?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
It's very strange behaviour, that.
No, it's not strange behaviour. You know as well as I do, you've lived in enough apartments in your life that, apartment living...
In apartments, you buzz them in, they come up the stairs.
Yeah, all right, but sometimes they get to the wrong door and all that kind of stuff, so...
Well, it's not very hard to track them down. It's not like you live in, the Ceausescu's palace, is it?
No, it's not, but
the wrong section of
certainly, look, in the apartment blocks we used to live in New York, if you're on the 34th floor, people go to the wrong floor and all sorts of things.
Yeah, but they just drop it with the doorman, don't they?
Well, it's sometimes, if you've got to have it delivered personally, because it's a valuable gift or something like that, then you need to know about it.
Yeah, but I see Donna Vekic is now up playing. She's from Croatia.
Who is?
Residents in Monte Carlo. Donna Vekic.
Oh, yes.
She's a Croatian tennis player.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting indeed.
Prize money so far, nearly $250,000.
$250,000. Now then, of course, we talked earlier about the forthcoming inauguration celebration.
The inauguration,
yeah. Inauguration.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right in what you said about the way, the media interpret these things. I mean, for instance, I'm looking at a strap across the top of The Guardian tomorrow which says, climate change in the age of Trump. Well, actually, you've been banging on about climate change for the last 35, 40 years.
I know.
So it has been in the age of Obama, it's been in the age of Clinton, it's been in the age of Reagan.
Yes.
And so why is climate change in the age of Trump?
Well, I suppose what they mean is that Trump is the first president who will be using people in his inner circle who are, in the Guardian's words, climate change deniers.
Yes, that's right.
So that's why they do it.
Because it goes on to say, climate change in the age of Trump, 15 things you can do on the bad guys, 5 species under threat and more. It's like all of a sudden, because Donald Trump has suddenly become president, 15 things you've got to do to...
Well, we'll pick up on that, because I've got some very interesting things to tell you about California and about what was on Channel 4 last night.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Talk Sport, we are the Two Mics. We're going to be talking to Steve Nichol very shortly, but we've got lots more coming up as well during the show. We've got the guys coming in from the wine company, or the wine importing company, I suppose you might say, who are actually going to be bringing some bottles in.
It's great.
Shaped flat. They're not bottles, they're plastic, which is the other thing that puts me off. I don't really like drinking wine out of a plastic bottle.
Yeah, well.
And they're going to be able to put it through your letterbox, apparently.
Yeah, well, they're made of plastic so they don't smash. There's a very cruel message here. It says, the chap who's written all those self-help books, he needs to write one for Porky called I Can Make You Sing Better. That's very harsh.
That is very harsh, isn't it? Carl says this, who's Porky kidding? Man of the people, my backside. How to get rich and sod the rest, because they're losers.
No.
That's pretty much him summing up
Hang
what
on,
you said.
I included myself in the list of losers. Most of us in life are losers.
Well, no, you said that latterly, but actually, but you're wrong about that, because most of us in life are not losers.
Well, most of us in life don't consider ourselves to be winners.
No, but
because we are striving every day to better ourselves.
Yeah, but that's your own particular weirdness, right? Because you have admitted in the past...
to want to better yourself
in
life.
It's weird.
You're weird if you don't want to.
Well, I'll tell you what is weird. It is to give yourself marks out of 10 on a daily basis.
Well, I think that's...
that's what you do, don't you?
Opposite. I do.
You do?
Yeah.
And you don't think that's weird?
No, I think that you should constantly review how life is going for yourself. Otherwise, you slip into a rut and decline.
Right. How many points did you give yourself today?
About 8.
8 out of 10?
Yeah, not bad today.
Really? I wouldn't give you that much.
We got things done this morning, and things have moved on this afternoon, so... what's the problem?
Nothing at all. Let's talk to Steve Nichol, who is, of course, a former Liverpool player. You'll be happy that they're through to the next round of the FA Cup.
Of course he will.
Maybe he's giving himself marks out of 10.
Yeah.
Steve, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Hey, boys, how are you?
Very good, Steve.
Have you ever given yourself marks out of 10 for your daily performance in any way?
No, I'm not that weird.
No,
well,
he thinks it's
Steve.
weird as well.
Excuse me, Steve. When you used to play football on a regular basis, didn't somebody else mark you points out of 10 every time you played football? And didn't you take notice of them and say to yourself, right, only got 5 out of 10, got to do better next week?
No, we didn't look at the marks because it depends on the numpty that was actually marking you. The only thing you went by was your own barometer and how well or how badly you did yourself. We didn't give ourselves marks out of 10, that's for sure.
Well, that sounds to me, Steve, like you were very self-satisfied with every performance. It's no wonder you got a regular rollicking from the manager at half-time.
I wouldn't say that at all.
Really?
He gave us a rollicking when we deserved it. Certainly wasn't that often, otherwise... I probably wouldn't have played for 20 years.
No, and one rather
that is one of life's mysteries, I have to admit.
And also won rather a lot of honours and won rather a lot of medals and done rather well for himself. More medals than you've got, I think, Corky.
Oh, indeed, yeah. Well, anyway, Steve, I'm not casting aspersions on your glittering football career. What did you think of your former team's performance tonight?
Listen, the bottom line, when you're playing away from home against a lower league side, is not to lose. In about 30 seconds' time, after you've won the game, nobody's really bothered. As an outsider or watching the game, you want to see a good performance and goals, but the bottom line is to win the game. It wasn't sparkling by any manner of the imagination. In fact, if you want to be critical, you could say that like Sturridge and Origi had an opportunity to show what they have, which they didn't. At the same time, you could also argue that they're playing in a team that's sort of put together, so it's never going to be smooth. But listen, I've played in better teams than the one that Liverpool put out tonight and struggled away from home in an FA Cup tie. And at the end of the day, it's about winning the game, and they won the game.
Exactly. I mean, it's a long way to go as well. I mean, there were some people after the first game who said that team that Jurgen Klopp put out is an indication of how he doesn't really particularly want to stay in the FA Cup. Do you share that? I mean, do you think he wanted to get knocked out, or is that a ridiculous idea?
No, I don't think he wants to get knocked out. I think he wants to win every game. I think he put out a team that thought that could beat Plymouth, and the team that actually, man for man, is better than Plymouth, no question. I'm sure you'll find the further they go in the competition, the stronger the teams they'll put out. But it was a good opportunity to win a game, and of course save his actual first 11 for an important game coming up against Swansea. Everybody's looking at this game saying, okay, it's going to be 3, 4 or 5, but you have to make sure you have to get the job done. So for him to be able to play the side he did tonight and still win the game, means he's got it right.
Well, indeed. And, I mean, the big weekend is coming up with a big game, really. It's not so much Liverpool-Swansea, it's Manchester City-Tottenham, isn't it? Because City, after getting slaughtered by Everton last weekend, have really got some work to do.
Yeah, after 3 or 4 weeks of the season, there's no way you would think that Tottenham away at Manchester City, you would have Tottenham favourites. But I've got Tottenham favourites. Yeah. Tottenham are real in a right vein of form where they get the job done. And Manchester City are in complete disarray. I mean, the back and the middle and the front now, which, of course, going forward, that's where the strength really was. Going forward, we all knew that defensively over the last 2 or 3 years they've been struggling, but they're struggling up front now. They're struggling in the middle. And they're absolutely still struggling at the back. And they've got a goalkeeper who doesn't... I mean, he might be the greatest goalie in the world with his feet, but his hands are like jelly. I mean, the guy can't save a shot.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Steve, you play for Liverpool. Liverpool have evolved as a football club over 50 years, since Bill Shankly first walked into the place. Manchester City suddenly became a big club because of the imposition and the acquisition of vast amounts of money. There is a difference between the two, isn't there, when it comes to hard times, keeping you going?
Yeah, I think it's called tradition.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And Manchester City really don't have a tradition.
Well, they do, but it's not as successful as Liverpool's.
No, because it's Liverpool and Manchester United of this world have the tradition because of how they keep winning year after year and decade after decade. And they accumulate fans and the way they play. And it's not always just about winning. I mean, Manchester United could be 10th in the league for the next 4 or 5 years and still generate the kind of interest they have.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I just see tonight they've just been named the richest club in the world again.
Well, exactly. But not only that, you're absolutely right.
It seems inconceivable that Manchester City could actually reach that because, you know, they spend a lot of money, they do win occasionally. Yeah. And they're going to win. They're going to probably win the Premier League every 3 years, and then not win it for a couple of years, and then win it again. But that doesn't create anything.
Well, one of the things is, Steve, is that Manchester City have never had a manager who, you know, in decades to come, they'll look back and say he was Mr. Manchester City. You know, Manchester United had Matt Busby, then they had Sir Alex Ferguson. Liverpool had Bill Shankly, and then they had Bob Paisley. And those sort of things are embedded in the spirit of a club. And Manchester City have never established that.
And I don't think that Pep Guardiola's going to do that.
No, he's not. That's what I mean. They brought him in.
He's not. You know, you look at the great Manchester United and Liverpool. You look at the great teams they've had, and you look at the great managers they've had. They've always had the same thing in common. The club was bigger than them, and they were interested in what the club was all about.
Yeah, sure.
Pep for me is kind of all about Pep, and he wants to do things his way.
Yeah.
He's not looking to build a tradition. He's looking to come in and get results.
Yeah,
and that's completely different to what Liverpool and Manchester United have been about for centuries.
Well, as somebody said earlier tonight on Talk Sport, it'd be a bit ironic if he's brought in to get them to win the Champions League.
And they're not even in it.
He doesn't even qualify for it. But I'll tell you what, an interesting story on the back page of the Mail this morning, Steve, which says that his preparation for the team to raise their morale ahead of the game against Tottenham is he took them all to the cinema to watch La La Land.
Yeah, I don't get that.
I was going to say, it's a bit speechless there, Steve, bit speechless. Yeah. Must admit, we don't get it either.
I don't get that.
No.
Listen, I've been a football player, and if the gaffer tells me I've got to go to the movies and watch some film, I'm not a happy camper.
No,
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
exactly right. So I mean, as far as Liverpool,
not exactly bonding.
As far as Liverpool catching Chelsea is concerned, can you see it? Can you see it happening?
I tell you, at the present time, I don't see anybody catching Chelsea. They've got such a cushion that they can afford to lose games and still be in a good position. You know, every single time we think they may falter, you know, I think last weekend was a great indicator of where Chelsea are as a club. All the nonsense with Diego Costa, he's leaving, they're falling out, they're arguing. And what did Chelsea do? They go on the field without Costa and they overrun the Premier League champions at home 3-0.
Yeah.
That tells you where that club is. It's not about Costa or any other individual. It's about a club, and that team is absolutely together, no question. So they are firm favourites. They have to either have a horrendous injury list or suspensions, or he starts tinkering with what he's done. They have to do something really incredibly bad to screw up what they've got going.
Right.
And at the same time, all the other teams have to keep winning. And I'm not sure you can put your hand on your heart and say that, you know, Liverpool, Arsenal or whoever are just going to keep winning, because I'm not sure that's the case.
No, indeed. But, I mean, you see, as you say, Spurs are really on a roll, aren't they? I mean, you don't know whether they're going to do the same this season as they did last season and kind of peter out towards the end. But, I mean, Spurs and Liverpool look the sort of two second strongest teams to Chelsea, don't they?
Yeah, I think the interesting thing with Spurs is we said last year that they didn't quite get it done in the final stages because of inexperience.
Yeah.
So now they have the experience going into this last surge. And everybody says experience is good, but it depends what kind of players you have. You know, two things can happen. You either learn from it and you use it to your advantage, or it actually strangles you and you start thinking about it.
Right.
And that'll be an interesting thing with Spurs, because they've got themselves in a fantastic position. They're going great guns. Let's see how they can handle it.
Mind you, they're going to miss Vertonghen, aren't they? He's out for at least, a month, maybe 2 months.
Well, we said that when Alderweireld was going to be out for a long while as well, and they managed to overcome that. So they've got a real solid sort of 5 or 6 guys that they can rotate at the back. So I'm not so sure it'll be such a huge problem.
Okay.
It's about them continuing to score goals. You know, Dele Alli and Kane have been fantastic recently. If they keep continuing with a form, then I think they'll cover up for any deficiencies that not having a Vertonghen will give them.
Sure. Well, Steve, listen, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Steve.
Many apologies for Porky's unnecessary attack on you earlier.
No, always great to hear from you.
You'll be able to deal with that in your own way. Lots more to come, of course. Talk Sport, we are the two Mikes. Loads of good tweets coming in, Mr. Parry. Dylan says this: I can only imagine Porky's self-help book. It'll be called "I Can Make You Infuriated."
That's a bit
that's
harsh.
the effect you're having on lots of people.
I don't think so.
Here's one from Rob who says, "How do you not remember having 7 sugars in a coffee? Was Porky trying to sober up after too much bladderation?"
No, I find coffee bitter.
Yes.
That's the point, right?
No, I must admit, I can verify that you don't drink very much coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
And bizarrely, you don't take any tea, sugar in your tea.
I don't know.
But you do take sugar in coffee.
Yeah, because I find it very bitter. Now, having said that, of course, I've got round that problem. Only the other day, I was in Sainsbury's and I bought a special jar of coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Called creme de coffee.
A special jar?
Yeah.
What do you mean special?
It's very mild. It's mild coffee.
Is
it's
it
not
instant coffee?
What do you mean?
Well, is it instant coffee? Is it like granulated coffee that you stick a spoon in, put it in a cup and pour boiling water on?
Well, all coffee's that way.
No, it isn't.
It is.
You can buy coffee grounds.
Who's got time to do that these days?
Well, loads of people. I mean,
Rubbish.
Do you not know the new thing that everybody's now buying?
Oh, what's the new thing?
The new
Tell
thing
me.
that everybody's now buying.
What is it? What is
well,
it?
if you ever bother to go into any shops that sell anything that people actually buy,
what is the new
instead of being
thing?
trapped in the 80s, you would know that the new thing is to buy a coffee machine.
Oh, a coffee machine.
Yeah.
What, a percolator?
Well, it's not. No, not just a percolator.
So what is it?
It's a machine that can make espressos. Nespresso is one of the names that you can buy.
You think we've all got time to lump this machine out and put it in our kitchen? I think I'll have a mocha today. I tell you what, it's Wednesday.
Well, I mean,
tell you what, I'll have
really
a cappuccino.
You really are like a man that lives in a cave away from everything else that goes on.
I'm not. You are ridiculous.
All right, well, you check the sales.
How many people do you think have got a coffee machine at home?
You check the fastest. If you let me answer your question, if you listen or check the sales of what was sold over Christmas, right? Yeah. One of the biggest surges in sales was for coffee machines. If you go into John Lewis, right, they have got...
John Lewis, we all shop at John Lewis, don't we?
Well, lots of people shop at John Lewis.
The working man does not shop at John Lewis.
Well, the only people do shop at John Lewis, actually.
The only people who've got coffee machines at home are juice heads who've got nothing better to spend their money on.
No, that's not true. That's not true. You're so out of touch with what the ordinary person actually does. The biggest selling appliance of Christmas and the whole Christmas shopping period was coffee machines.
Right, and how many people do you know have got one?
How many people? I know a couple of people who've got them.
Oh, yeah, who are they?
Who are they? Well, I'm going to tell you. You don't know who they are. Friends of mine have got them. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and are these friends, like, in elite parts of society? Well, or would they be farm workers near to your country estate?
I wouldn't say that the people that I know are either elite or farm workers. They're people that I know.
Yeah,
but it's the sort of thing that people bought for each other.
The generalities of you, trying to make out that I'm a man who lives on fish fingers and don't have a coffee machine.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with
most
not
people
having
enjoy
one.
Fish fingers, and most people, in fact, everybody I know,
don't know why you get so worked up about it,
has not got a coffee machine.
Well, you don't know anyone though.
I know loads of people.
Well, who do you know that's got any kind of anything, really?
No, listen, I know. I mean, you have families and friends and all that. Nobody's ever mentioned a coffee machine to me.
You're telling me nobody in your family's got a coffee machine?
No, definitely not. And my family live in good houses.
Your sister, who lives in Bournemouth, does not have any kind of machine for making real coffee.
Definitely not.
Are you absolutely certain?
Yes.
Because I'm pretty sure I saw one when I was there.
No. I'm
pretty sure I did.
I don't think you did.
And I'm sure it's the kind of thing that she would have, because people who have nice kitchens like she does would have some kind of coffee making machine, even if it's only a Kona coffee filtering machine.
No.
Anyway, I was only asking. It doesn't make you a worse person for not having one.
Yeah, I'm not saying it makes you a worse.
I haven't got one either because I wouldn't bother buying one.
Better people. Anyway, why were you're talking about coffee machines. I can't remember what dribble you were
telling me that you told me you'd found some special coffee.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
I was wondering if it was the sort of special coffee that you put in a coffee machine.
No, what it is...
And you suddenly attacked me because I suggested that you didn't know anything about coffee machines.
It's a very elegant-looking jar of coffee, which is broad at the bottom, narrows, like the figure of a woman, really.
Like a figure of a woman?
Yeah, broad.
What's the make of it?
And it narrows in the middle. I think it's Nescafe.
Right.
And then it broadens out again at the top. It's got a lovely sort of clip plastic lid on it. And you screw that off, and then you get the spoon and you go through the silver foil, which is which is what keeps it fresh.
Yeah, well, you have to open that, don't you?
Well, I use the spoon. I bash it with the spoon.
Well, you can just break the seal, can't you?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But once you've broken the seal, you can't reseal it.
No, but you can screw the jar top back on.
Yeah, it sounds like every other jar of instant coffee to me.
It is, exactly, but what's in the contents, is it? It says crème de café. So it's a lighter colour than normal.
Oh, yeah.
It's not granules. You know, granules are a bit like sort of pay dirt that you pick up off the ground.
Pay
you know
dirt?
What I mean? Yeah, granules.
They're basically frozen coffee, aren't they?
Yeah, what do you call that stuff that goes on the ground when you can play football on it and scratch all your knees?
Asphalt.
No, it's not asphalt, but it's something like that. Yeah, it's something like that, yeah.
It's not called pay dirt, though, I don't think.
Well, I regard it as pay dirt. Where this is a smoother, this is like sand, actually. It's the colour and texture of sand.
Is it? Oh.
And you put it into your...
Do you put milk in it or not?
Yeah, of course you put milk in it, you oaf.
Well, no, sometimes you might get it where it's already got the milk in.
No. Well, it has got a bit of milk in, but you put more in. And
that's what I'm saying. So when you pour the water in, it's not black coffee, in other words.
It's not black coffee. And then it's not as bitter, and therefore I don't need to put as much sugar in it. It's as simple as that, okay?
So how much sugar do you put in that, then?
What?
How much sugar do you put in that?
2.
2 sugars?
Yes.
Okay, so it's sort of average amount.
Yes, exactly, yes.
Okay, so it's a bit sweeter, then.
Yeah,
it's a bit like when you buy sugar. Sometimes you buy coffee from these places and they give you so much chocolate in it, or it's so sweet anyway. You don't really need to put sugar in it.
Yeah, I do like if I'm buying a coffee out and there's a froth on the top, and they say, "Do you want?" Is it cocoa they put on it? Like that
chocolate,
chocolate
powder.
Yeah, I always say yes. I love that. I think it's great.
Right.
I really do.
But you don't drink much coffee, though, by the sounds of it.
No, I don't. I don't drink much coffee.
Right.
No, I don't see any need to drink coffee. We're a tea-drinking country.
I see.
And it always annoyed me and
But you've just
infuriated
bought a jar of it, though. How long will that last?
About 3 months, I would think.
Okay.
Yeah, I have 1 cup about 2 cups a week, I suppose, something like that. Yeah.
Kevin says, my wife is the same as Mike Parry. No sugar in tea, but sugar in coffee.
Oh, well, there you go.
I always found it very bizarre. And
Matt says, it's because coffee's so bitter.
Matt says, the person who taught Porky that to win an argument, all you have to do is shout loudly over your opponent. Needs to be strangled.
No. I'm none of that at all. No. It's just that sometimes I feel that if I'm being misrepresented, then I have to put my point of view forward.
And Carl has sent a picture in of a coffee machine. Of course, we have one, he says, and there it is. It's called a Nespresso.
Yeah, well, you see, I don't see many people with those. I think posers have coffee machines.
You can call them posers if you like. All I'm saying to you is, as a matter of fact, an awful lot of them were bought over the Christmas period.
Yeah, you think so? Okay. Now, listen, I've got something amazing to tell you, and that is that did you know that some employees in this country are now literally spying on their workers 24 hours a day?
Spying on them?
Yeah, they're
That's
getting
not good.
You know, you can get these cards which get you in and out of your building.
Yes.
Okay?
Well, most people have some kind of security card, don't they now?
But you know that in some cases, those cards actually relay information back about their employees, about the employees to their employers 24 hours a day.
What sort of information?
Well, things like monitoring their heart rate.
Really?
What
if you put it in your jacket and hang your jacket up?
Well, these are called sociometric badges.
Yeah.
They can contain a microphone for real-time voice analysis, an accelerometer to check physical activity, a Bluetooth sensor to scan for proximity to others, and tools that track the wearer around the workplace once you're inside the building.
And who's going to spend so much time tracking all of that, then? They must have to hire an extra 3,000 employees to check on the other 3,000.
I've no idea.
Right.
This card apparently...
You don't think they're doing that here, do you?
Eh?
You don't think they're doing that here?
I don't think so. I think we're a benevolent dictatorship.
Is that right?
Yes.
Dictatorship?
Yeah, well, a democracy,
some people
I suppose,
might be disappointed to hear that.
But anyway, it says this has been created by a US company called Human Eyes, right?
Yeah.
That's human with a Y-Z-E on the end, Y-Z-E.
Right.
And it says firms can now quantify social interactions that were previously unmeasurable. And a spokesman for this thing says, it's looking at the amount of time you talk, who you talk to, this is inside the workplace, right? Your tone of voice to try and
well,
gauge...
that's bad news for you.
To try and gauge your mood.
That's bad news for you.
Activity levels... And how often you interrupt a fellow worker when they're talking.
Well, in that case, you would be struck off the system, wouldn't
you?
Oh,
God, this is terrible.
Yeah, but I can't imagine that's going on an awful lot. I mean, what about what about the rights of the workers and all that sort of thing?
I'm not sure the workers even know it's going on.
Are you sure it's happening here?
It's happening here in this country. Apparently, they have named a couple of companies in a report I've seen which say that they are now being used. But I'm not going to name these companies because I have no evidence that this is the case at all.
OK, well, we'll keep that one a secret then.
Exactly.
But, we will, of course, be talking soon to the company that have actually invented this idea of putting wine in flat bottles so they can shove it through your letterbox. I wonder if that's got tagged in some kind of Bluetooth manner.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Crazy, but that's how it goes. Millions of people living as hoes.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. Got loads more tweets as well. William says this in response to your attack on John Lewis. Says, I buy most of my electronic equipment from John Lewis, especially televisions.
Good.
The only place I know it gives a free 5-year guarantee. Yeah. A lot of people do that. Also, never knowingly undersold. Yes. If you go to John Lewis and somebody says, you can buy a TV cheaper somewhere else, they will lower the price for you. So it's not just a posh people's shop.
Surely that can't be an unconditional rule.
It is.
So if I go into John Lewis and their shop is in somewhere like Sloane Square, where there is one, isn't there?
I don't know. I don't go to that one. I think there is, though. It's a Peter Jones, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is, but it's John Lewis Group, isn't it?
I tend to go to one in Canary Wharf.
All right, Canary Wharf. You go to the one in Canary Wharf. Right. Now, it's a very expensive part of the world. If I then go down to Portsmouth and I go to, like, a Comet Warehouse or something like that, you know what I mean? And I get a telly, a 50-inch, and I get it for a price, are you telling me that I could then ring up John Lewis in Sloane Square or in Canary Wharf and say, look, Comet are selling me this telly at this price, will you sell it me for £50 cheaper? They would say yes.
No, well, they'll probably sell it to you for the same money or £1 cheaper, something like that. Yeah, they will.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure a business like that can run because you think of the rates and the rent and the property value of a place in Canary Wharf compared to somewhere on an industrial estate outside Portsmouth.
But they haven't just got places in expensive parts of the world. Yeah, and they're a very big company.
Yeah, but John Lewis are a brand word for quality, aren't they?
They certainly are, not least because, as William says, they give you a 5-year guarantee.
Yeah, and quality costs money.
It does. Yeah. And quality service also doesn't cost money, but they are very good at it. I mean, if you buy something from one of the cheaper places, the standard of customer service after you bought it is zero.
Yes.
But if you take something back to them, they're actually very good. Anyway, I don't want to turn it into an advert for them. I don't do all my shopping there.
Sure.
I just happen to mention it. James says, is Porky really that excited about some bog standard Nescafe? God help us if he finds out about decaf.
Yeah, well, I would never drink decaf because I think that's another Ponzi invention of the, the sort of liberal
I don't know what's got into you tonight.
elite.
Charles says, what's wrong with Porky tonight? How angry can one man be? Didn't he look at the person's throat? I don't know what he means about that.
What do you mean?
I don't know what he means by that.
I don't know what he means by that.
Look at the person's throat. Yeah. Steve sent a nice picture of a coffee machine in, and he says, which multi-millionaire doesn't have one of these? And he points at you.
Which multi-millionaire doesn't have one of what? Sorry?
One of these. That's one of the more expensive coffee machines. With which you can make all sorts of different
years
things.
and years ago, people were getting things like that fizzy machine that puts bubbles into bottles of water. What was it called?
Oh, well, the Soda Stream.
The Soda Stream, right? And it was, everybody's got to have one.
Well, this is kind of the modern version
That's
of that.
what I'm saying. Everybody got one.
It's very much a fad.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Everybody bought one for Christmas. Used it twice, never used it again.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, lots of people
this is just a very expensive fad for machines that people hardly ever use.
Yeah. Well, Matt says
Nobody in the real world has got time to go through the 7-minute procedure of making a cup of coffee with a blinking machine with levers all over the place.
Well, why don't you listen to some
boil
tweets?
A kettle, you pour it into your cup.
Oh, hang on. Why don't you just listen to some of the people who are listening to this show and listen to their opinions instead of your own? Yes. Matt says, all of my friends and family use an espresso-style machine. Yeah. It's as normal as only a kettle these days.
Really?
So there you are.
Yeah, I don't get that at all. What's this one here? The Two Mics thought wine and knives needed an adult to open door and accept to prove an adult actually bought... Oh, I see. That's all about
I read that one out as well, yeah.
Sorry about that. I don't know how that came up again.
Here's one from Jim. Porky seems very despondent with the modern world tonight. Maybe a quiz on the 70s would cheer the little soldier up.
No, not at all. What about this one? Porky, I gave my daughter a coffee machine for Christmas. She loves it. What a plank you are. Steve in Manchester.
There you go.
Yeah, but hang on, Steve. You think I'm a plank? I bet you when you get round there at Easter, I bet you that coffee machine is gathering dust, or maybe maybe even consigned to the shed, because it's a fad, it's a novelty, it's something that you can't have in your everyday working life because we're all too busy. I'm sorry.
I'm not sure that's right. Mephisto says, I'm totally working class scum on the night shift just now. I have a coffee machine. I use it every day to fill my flask. It's freshly ground. I love it.
Yeah, but you see, the other thing which is very odd...
I mean, there's an overwhelming body of evidence to prove you wrong, I'm afraid.
But the other thing that's very odd about this army of coffee users in this country is we're not even a coffee-drinking country.
Well, we are
We're
now.
a tea-drinking country.
No, we are, though.
No, we're not.
Have you not seen the number of coffee shops that are now on the high street? We've talked about it in the past.
But again, it's all the trendies.
No, but it's not all the trendies. In every city, in every town in this country now, as you've often told us, you go down the high street and you find at least one, if not two, if not three, chain coffee companies, right? Costa, Cafe Nero, Pret, one of those. You see them all over the place.
And I bet you within a couple of years you'll find a reverse trend when people will tire of going out and sitting in a coffee shop and drinking very expensive coffee. I think that is another social sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Social trend, which I think will expire.
I think you're absolutely wrong about that, because it's one of these things. It's now been going on for years and years and years. I mean, Costa coffee shops started growing in about 10 years ago, I would say, in London, and now they are everywhere. Yes, absolutely everywhere. Now I've got some good news for you, though.
Oh, yes.
I spotted this story. In fact, William spotted it earlier and tweeted it to me. Oh, yes. You know how you can now get pretty much any kind of taxi, any kind of minicab,
Uber,
any kind of
whatever.
service. Yeah, I know we keep saying Uber all the time. People have been asking me about that. People think you're in the play
I'm sorry,
of Uber.
they exist, like black cabs exist. I prefer black cabs. I never order Uber.
Okay, well, you know what you get now?
What?
You get a plane.
Oh, what, like...
a pay-as-you-go plane.
You mean you've got an app that can order up a plane?
Yeah. There's a company called Waves Airlines.
Yeah, they're not that expensive, actually.
Well, they're not that expensive. It means you can order flights at the moment only between mainland UK and the Channel Islands.
Yes.
But there's a pretty good possibility that will change. And you will be able to take a flight pretty much anywhere.
I had to make an inquiry recently about the prospect of going to Toulouse, is it? No,
Toulouse?
No, what's the place on the French coast that's good for golf? Le Touquet, thank you. Yeah, fly to Le Touquet.
What were you going there for?
For lunch. I was going to organise a lunch, yeah.
To Le Touquet?
Yes, that's
When were you going to do that?
Well, it's an ongoing plan, which I'll tell you about later.
You never mentioned it to me.
Well, you may not be involved.
Am I not invited?
But anyway, the point is to fly from
That's nice, isn't it?
To fly from an airfield.
That's great. So, you're going to go to the Touquet for lunch?
Excuse me.
And you weren't going to tell me?
Excuse me. To go from an airfield in Kent to the Touquet on a 6-seater plane and back, £1,200.
Yep.
No, I think that's quite reasonable.
So you'd get 6 people paying £200 each?
No, I would pay because it was going to be...
No, but I mean effectively.
Yes, effectively, yes.
Each way, is that? £1,200 each way?
No, that's there and back.
Oh, there and back.
Because you only pay for a helicopter or an airplane when they're in the air. You don't pay for them when they're on the ground.
Don't they have docking charges and all that sort of thing?
Well, maybe. Yeah, it might have been each way actually. I think that was each way.
It sounds more likely.
Yeah, it was £1,200 to get there, £1,200 to get back.
But it's still not out of the question.
No, it's not.
£200. No. I mean, if you were asking people, I know friends of mine who admittedly were in the newspaper business, but they were going for a stag do or something to Bilbao.
That's right.
And they took a plane.
Yeah.
And they worked out that actually it wasn't for each of them to pay an amount of money. It wasn't that much more than going there and back on a plane anyway.
That's right. You can do it for about £1,000, I think, if there's about 12 of you or something.
Well,
these
guys are going to start commercial flights in July,
right?
And they're going to be launched first of all at Channel Islands, but they hope to eventually be used throughout the UK. The only thing that worries me slightly is that it's not much of a plane. It's one of those.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's got one propeller on the front.
One propeller on the front.
No,
I've flown in these planes
before,
have as
well.
And they're not particularly, shall we say, comfort-inducing.
I went to France once.
You feel like you're in a Spitfire.
Well, if the turbulence is bad, you get thrown about really badly.
Right.
And I went to France once for the Tour de France, okay?
Yeah. And
we went in a small plane. It had 2 propellers, actually, one on each wing, yeah. And we flew from somewhere like Biggin Hill or something, and we flew to Paris, which is a hell of a long way.
And it's noisy as well, isn't it?
Very noisy. Planes. There's not much vision, because you can't see anything.
Right.
There's only small windows. You can only see upwards. You can't see the ground below you or anything like that. And it got buffeted all over the place. The worst problem was, I got incredibly bladderated at the other end.
Who surprised me?
Yes.
In France?
In France,
right. Were you at the finish line or something?
We're at the finish line, on the Champs-Élysées.
Yeah, what year was that? Was that when one of the Brits was winning it or something?
No, it was before that. It was way back when British cyclists... the only reason we went was it was sponsored by Rally, who had the winning bike, but not the winning rider, you know what I mean? So they took us all out there, it was great. But then
to then pour you back onto the plane.
Well, no, this is the problem. You see, I got so excited by, all the... I was still leaning over the balcony when the last cyclist came in. Anyway, I turned round and thought, oh, well, it's probably time to go home now. Couldn't find another one of the 10 colleagues.
Well, they'd all left you there.
They'd gone.
Were they colleagues from this particular place or elsewhere?
No, they were colleagues from all of Fleet Street.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
So this was when you were still in the paper.
Yes, that's right, yeah. So I kind of...
So they'd obviously decided to just leave you there.
Well, I think they'd forgotten that I was a member of the party or something, because I looked around, the room, I thought, that's funny, can't see old Fred or Joe or, Diana or whatever, you know what I mean? I thought, oh, where they all are? I must be downstairs. So I went downstairs, no, monsieur, no. I said, well, they must be out the back then, because we had a car bring us in from the airport, So I went out, and the car wasn't there. I said, excuse me, excusez-moi. They're
not giving you like a timetable when you had to be back at the airport?
Probably.
Yeah.
Le moteur.
La voiture.
Yeah, pour. And, I did the old put my hands out like wings, pour.
You didn't start singing the Dam Busters thing.
No. But I was going, l'aeropuerto. L'aeropuerto. Which apparently is Spanish, not French.
Yeah.
Où
it's not that different, to be fair.
Où est le moteur?
You didn't have to get back to like Charles de Gaulle or somewhere.
No, it was
a small airfield.
Small airfield, but it was on the edge of Orly Airport, right? So anyway, I mean, it was a nightmare. Because I didn't have any money on me or anything, I'd not expected to...
And had you not got the guy's number or anything? It was
Nothing. There were no mobile phones in those days, seriously. I mean, it was like, talk about Lost in France, that Bonnie Tyler song.
Exactly.
So, in the end, I was desperately looking for help, and in the end, somebody got me a car to Charles de Gaulle, and I had to blag myself onto a plane to get back to
You were lucky
Gatwick.
they let you on in that state.
Well, it was a difficult situation because I was very confused as to what was supposed to be going on, and I'd worked the next day and all this kind of stuff. It was horrendous.
And what time of night did you get back then in the end?
Oh, about literally sort of 1 a.m. or something like that.
Right.
And if it hadn't been for a mate of mine who lived in London, who I was able to ring on a reverse charge call from a phone box at Gatwick Airport to come out and get me, I'd have still been there. It was one of those situations.
And did you ever find out what happened to them? Did they just leave you there?
Yeah, they claimed that they spent an hour looking for me and they couldn't find me. But I was right at the front of the balcony and there were 6 rows of people behind me and all that kind of stuff, Because, of course, I got myself to the front, prime position.
Yes, of course.
To watch all the cyclists.
Yes.
Then they all pushed off. I mean, I kind of got the impression they were quite happy I wasn't on the plane going back.
I imagine that may have been what the truth
it's a
of
bit
the matter
unkind.
was. Yeah, shocking. Yeah. Absolutely shocking.
The vacant seat.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, we're out of time once again. We've got loads more time to go in the show. Porky Vision coming up in a little while. We will be
We've got a unique film situation to talk about
We have
next.
got a unique film situation to talk about, and we've got some explaining to do.
Yeah.
We've got some explaining to do about the wine guys as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to be where you can see the troubles are all the same. You want to be where everybody knows your name. You want to go where people know people are.
Talk Sport, we are the Two Mics. That's a very familiar sounding song, isn't it?
What's that?
That song.
What is it?
Don't tell me you don't know it.
Is it something to do with Woody Harrelson?
Well, it is something to do with Woody Harrelson.
Yes, okay. So it's the theme music to a famous film?
Well, it's a famous TV show, really.
Oh, famous TV show.
Yeah.
That would be Cheers.
Cheers. Very well done. Congratulations. John Hurd is here, who is our resident film and television guru.
Yeah.
It's an old song, that, isn't it? I mean, that's a long time ago. Woody
back in
Harrelson
the
was
80s.
doing all that. Yeah. Well, I was telling Porky a while ago that when I was in Boston once, I went to the Cheers bar, which is a terribly touristy thing to do, but it's quite good fun to do. He's never done it, of course.
No.
He couldn't find it.
Well, I
mean,
wouldn't
of all the
anyway.
things that you haven't done in the world, I
Yes.
would have thought going to a bar to just check it out would have been something you would have always wanted to do.
Mike, remember, all the bars in all the world, you've got to get to them. Now then, John, the reason why you're in the studio with us is there's a unique project going on, experiment, call it what you will, involving Woody Harrelson. Perhaps you could explain it to us, please.
Yeah, this is a wonderful combination of live theatre and one-take cinema. Mm-hmm. There have been plenty of examples of both. With the birth of digital cinemas and digital projection, there's a lot of what are called event cinema showcases. So things like operas get streamed into cinemas, a theatre.
Well, a live opera gets streamed into cinema.
Yeah, so the cameras film it at whatever venue it is, and then it just gets beamed directly into the cinemas. And because all cinemas now are digital projection, they just project. Yeah,
they used to do it with boxing matches, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. I mean, that was the first time,
I remember people going to the Dominion in the Tottenham Court
to
Road
watch Ali.
To watch the Ali fights.
Well, I actually saw the England-Brazil World Cup semi-final in 2002 at the Odeon Leicester Square.
Wasn't England-Brazil, was it? That wasn't a semi, that was a quarter.
Quarter.
Yeah, that's quarter. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I saw that one. So, these events have been going on for a while. But what Woody Harrelson is doing is he's going to do a one-take film and beam it live directly into a cinema.
So no rehearsals.
No, they've been rehearsing. They've been rehearsing for 5 weeks.
Oh, I see. Right, okay. But no second takes on the night.
No, it's going to start. I think it's 2:00 tomorrow morning. So about 24 hours from now, they'll be doing it starting in London, out on the streets of London. They're starting off. They've built some sets in an old building. So starting off in a nightclub, they built a mock-up of a police station. Then they'll go out into the streets, into cars.
Because it's based on his night of shame, as it's become known.
It is, yeah. 15 years ago, he was having a bit of a bad time. He was in London. He had a few too many to drink, had an argument with his wife, got into a taxi, a black cab, and just suddenly went crazy and started smashing the cab up.
Right.
He then got out of the cab, ran away, hailed another cab, got into that one to escape the scene where the original taxi driver chased after him. The police got involved. He got out on foot. They chased him on foot throughout the streets of London.
And he was very famous in those days.
He was very famous, famous actor.
Yeah.
And eventually he was arrested and thrown in prison for the night. And he describes it as the worst night of his life.
Yeah.
And he's written a comedy script about it. So though it was a tragic night for him, he's actually written a comedy script.
Yes.
And he came up with this idea, rather than just film it as a normal film, why not first of all try and do it as a single take film, which as I said, it's been done before. It's not an original idea. Yeah. It's a complicated thing to do. Yeah. But he then had this crazy idea to why not then beam that into cinemas? Something which all his friends and everybody's advised him.
Are these cinemas around the world or just in this country?
No, there's one in this country. It's the Picture House Central in London.
Right.
Which is actually not far from where some of it's going to be filmed. And about 500 or so cinemas in America are going to be taking it live.
Yeah.
I only hope that somebody remembers to press play and record, because I would like to see it afterwards, because I'm not going to be able to see it when it's actually happening. So,
so they've got a few sets, but are they closing off streets and
things?
They're
having
maybe we should try and find somebody who's going to be out there on the streets tomorrow night while it's being filmed.
They're having rolling sets closed off to for the police are going to block off a road just as they get there, so that traffic can't interrupt them. And then they'll reopen the road as they've gone past. They've got something like 300 people working on the film.
I mean, how many cameras will you need to be able?
One camera.
Well, sorry, when he gets out the cab and he runs off, which he's going to recreate, is the cameraman running after him?
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
A single take, single camera.
I still don't quite understand. These sets they built, like the police station and the pub he was in and all that, is the cameraman just going in and out of all those sets?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I thought there'd be about 50 cameras, on walls, and the director would say, cut to camera 42, cut to camera 12.
No, it's a single camera. It's going to be following him around. It'll be 103 minutes, I believe the whole film is. Single camera chasing him around London.
It's an incredible operation, isn't it?
It is, and it's a mind-blowing thing. There was actually a film last year called Victoria, a German film that's set in Berlin. This is where he got the idea from.
Yeah.
Set in Berlin, and that started out in a nightclub. Following this young girl, Victoria, and she comes out of the nightclubs, goes into the streets, meets some people, goes to a cafe, and ends up getting involved in a bank heist and then a car chase. And that was all done in a single take. A brilliant film. It actually goes wrong in one point.
Have you seen that?
I have seen that one.
That. So you know what we can expect then in terms of the quality of the reproduction?
Absolutely. And that and they did that over a night. So it started off at night and ended up in the dawn. And it was a brilliant film, but absolutely logistical nightmare to try and do. And they rehearsed and practiced a lot. And Woody Harrelson's been doing practice runs of this. They've done 2 complete run-throughs already, which they did last week.
Right.
And,
And who's funding it? Has it been funded in a particularly unusual way?
By himself.
Right. So none of the big studios are involved?
No, he's funded it entirely by himself.
Right. It doesn't sound like it's going to cost much to me.
Well, it will, because first of all, he's got to hire the locations, build the sets, you've got to get all the permissions, you've got to block off all the streets, get the police involved.
Got to hire a load of actors, I suppose.
There's 30 cast.
30, yeah.
There's 300 extras, which have all got to be rehearsed and put into place. There's 300 crew. They've 24
Sounds pretty
people.
expensive to me.
Yeah,
Hang on, 300 crew?
Yeah.
That is expensive.
Well, because you have 14 sets all over the place, all different areas that they're filming in, and each one has to be crewed. Normally, you'd get one crew and you move them from location to location day after day.
Yes.
But because they're doing everything in one go, they're having to get all this crew in together on one single night. And, of course, he's been rehearsing it for weeks and weeks and weeks. They've got a lot of technology.
Yeah.
You've got to build a lot of prototypes of things. So, it's not a cheap film. It's not a massively expensive film. In comparison to Hollywood movies, it's cheap. But, it's
And do you know how many advance tickets have been sold for it?
I don't actually, but I would imagine it's probably sold out pretty well.
I mean, it seems like the kind of thing.
Screenings.
Well, it seems like the kind of thing you would. I mean, to kind of fulfil the newness of it, you would watch maybe on YouTube. Like you would stream something on YouTube and people can watch it in the comfort of their own home. But to actually go out to the cinema to watch something which ostensibly...
I think people will go.
Well, maybe they will. No,
listen,
I'm not saying they won't do it, but I mean, ostensibly, you're asking people to go and see something which might take a lot longer to finish than you thought it would.
But it's possible.
So, you go at 7 o'clock at night, for example, or whatever time it is.
Yeah.
You might still be there at midnight because they haven't finished it yet.
That's right.
It's entirely possible that they get held up by traffic.
Yeah.
He said that
Could get robbed
in one of their
London.
rehearsals. They ended up being stuck in a traffic jam for 15 minutes and had to improvise.
Right.
So it could be a lot longer than 100 minutes. Could end up. The film Victoria was well over 2 hours.
Right.
So,
and I presume he will hope to get his money back by them putting it onto a DVD. And that's why you said press and play and record.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that will become a best-selling sort of downloaded DVD.
I think absolutely. That's where he'll get it. He won't make the money back through 500 cinema screens, even if they're all sold out. But
exactly.
Through TV, DVDs, and also it'll get shown again at cinemas. It'll get sent out as a regular film at some point. So I think the fact that it's Woody Harrelson, and everybody loves Woody Harrelson. He's one of those kind of people that he's crazy. He's been a wild man in his past, but he's one of those actors that everybody kind of loves.
Wasn't
because
he
he's
an Indecent Proposal, the Robert Redford one?
He was, yes.
Yeah, that's right.
He's been in some good films.
He's been in some brilliant films, and
Natural Born Killers.
That's right, yeah.
And the Hunger Games.
And the whole irony of this, by the way, is on that particular night, the way that all the trouble ended was when he agreed, the police agreed to drop charges when the taxi driver accepted a £550 payment for the damage to the cab.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah, so it wasn't crime of the century anyway.
No, but for him, he says it was the worst night of his life.
Yeah, sure.
That was the point he realised he was kind of out of control because he had a big drug habit, he had an alcohol problem, and he realised his life had kind of bottomed out at that point. So that's, it was a turning point in his life, which is why it's significant for him.
Sure.
And is anybody else that we would recognise in the film, or is it just a bunch of sort of
only
lesser-known
Owen
types?
Wilson, who's playing himself.
Okay.
And Willie Nelson, who's playing himself. But everybody else...
Willie Nelson's in London?
Yes. It's
well, that's another one for the police, isn't it?
Yeah.
Willie
exactly.
Nelson share a penchant for a certain substance.
Sure.
Willie Nelson's now got his own brand of marijuana that he sells in Colorado.
Yeah.
As a medicinal remedy.
No, he sells his own
it
brand.
legally?
Yeah. He's got about 7 different varieties of it.
But he says here, you see, for instance, he's aware of all the problems you've just highlighted. He said they have to have aerials all over the place to pick up the sound. He said if one of those blows down, we're finished.
Yeah,
we'll have to replace it. The other one is, in one practice, a van's involved, and the door got stuck on the van. They couldn't get in and out the van.
It's always, whenever you're making a film, you can prepare absolutely everything. It's always the really simple little things that go wrong. So a door getting stuck when it's opened 50 times before, when you're doing the take, it will jam. There's always going to be something tiny that will go wrong. Like I said in the film Victoria, when they're doing the big car chase scene, the actress who's playing the lead part, she's driving the car. She's supposed to turn left in the car. She actually turned right by mistake.
Right.
And this jeopardised the entire film, and they were about an hour and a half into the take, and all the other people in the car were screaming at her and
turn round.
But they built that into the story,
right?
And actually, it looks it is genuine because the reactions are genuine. So that's what they're going to have to do. If something goes wrong, they have to build it into the story of what they're telling.
Okay, fine.
We might have to keep an eye on it tomorrow night.
Well, I was going to say, John, we will require a report, please, from you at some stage to tell us how it all went. You know what I mean?
He's not going to be there, though, is he?
Well, there are telephones in life. You know what I mean?
Telephones.
Yes, to find out what's going on.
He won't know what's going on there.
No, we'll all
get somebody else.
We'll all find out.
Well, you prefer to get somebody who's actually there.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Yeah, this is how Porky covers the news. Get somebody who's nowhere near it to report in and tell him what's happening.
Just get the info.
This is Talk Sport.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
It's a wonderful night, you gotta take it from me. It's a wonderful night, come on and break it on down. It's a wonderful night, you gotta shake it from me. It's a wonderful night, come on and break it on down. It's a wonderful night, everybody can see. It's a wonderful night, come on and break it on down.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. Coming up in the next hour, it's Porky Vision, of course, and we're also going to be talking to Mike Best, who's a freedom of information activist, archivist, and counterintelligence expert on the release of all these CIA declassified documents, which is going to be fascinating, I think.
Yeah, and what about the release of this master spy who downloaded all the information and passed it on to Assange?
Assange?
Yeah.
Who?
Julian
Assange.
Yes. Julian Assange.
Chelsea thingy.
Yeah, because there's a huge row going on in America because Obama's released a person who was sentenced to 35 years after 6 years.
Yes, I know.
And said, they had a tough jail sentence already.
Yeah. Now, we must just explain something about the men who were coming in
with
the boxes of wine. Santiago Navarro turned up. He's a co-founder of Garçon Wines.
Yes.
But he turned up without any wine.
Exactly.
And the whole point of him coming in was to bring some wine.
Yeah.
So there was some kind of miscommunication. So I'm afraid he's going to be appearing next week as opposed to tonight. Because we want to see the bottles, don't we?
I think you're being too kind. We sent him away with a flea in his ear.
Well, I don't think you want to be unkind to him because he wanted to come back.
No, the whole idea was we spoke about it.
Yeah, but it may not be his fault. There may have been a miscommunication from somebody within our organisation.
We spoke about the concept of the story last week.
We did.
There was nothing more to speak about without the evidence of what it looked like.
Exactly.
So we were expecting, these flat bottles of wine.
I have to say,
to be brought in great volume, by the way.
I have to say, without wishing to prejudice our next week interview, that if they can't even manage to deliver some here for an interview, what chance have you got getting it through your letterbox?
With in a cardboard box with 2 first-class stamps on it, bang, plonk, lands on the doorstep, and you get going.
Yeah, but you know what I mean?
Totally agree. Yeah,
it's not a great start, is it?
Totally agree. Not a great start.
No.
But
anyway,
we'll give them the benefit of the doubt that it was a technical problem.
We're open-minded as far as making sure that we can talk to them next week. So hopefully that will get sorted out.
Yes.
We shall see. Now, we've got lots of other things to talk about as well.
We certainly have.
You want to talk about this Assange situation? When we can talk to Mike Best about it if you wish.
Yeah, we will. I mean, we're talking to him later in the show, aren't they?
Yeah, we are.
But there's loads of other things we need to talk about. Now, we talk about new products and all this kind of stuff, and the wine, okay?
Yes.
Now, what about the Duchess of Cambridge's brother, James Middleton, right?
James Middleton, yes.
Now,
he's a guy that's into various entrepreneurial activities, isn't he?
Well, I'm just about to tell you about them, because actually, his parents, that is... Kate, the Duchess of Cambridge's parents.
Yes, but also his parents.
Also his parents, because he's Kate's brother.
Yes.
Mr. and Mrs. Middleton. Right, what's their first names again?
She's the former stewardess,
stewardess
from British Airways.
On airplane for British Airways.
Yes.
But what's her first name?
I can't remember.
It's
not important, is it?
It is important.
Is it? Why?
I'll think about it in a minute. Hang on. But anyway, she is a very successful businesswoman. She earlier in life she was a hostess and probably a very glamorous one. She's a very good-looking lady, Mrs. Middleton. And she then started a business, literally in the garage, the family garage of the house, selling by post party pieces, literally. Things for parties.
That's right, yes.
That's now a multi-million-pound a year business.
Do you think there was any coincidence that people buy into the business because of the connections to the royal family?
It was very, very well established before Kate Middleton met Prince William.
Yeah, but it kind of took off, though, didn't it?
Well, they already lived in a sort of £2 million house. They have moved since to a £4.5 million house. But, I mean, I just admire them for running their own business, which started in the garage of their home and is now literally a very big operation with a warehouse and everything else, you know? Now, the point is, so that's all very successful. I admire successful people, entrepreneurs. But now the son, whose name is James,
right?
He runs a business, and it's called Boomf.
Boomf.
Yeah, do you know what they manufacture?
I have no idea.
Marshmallows.
Marshmallows?
Yeah, but it's not going well.
No. Well, there's a lot of people that might manufacture marshmallows.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you manufacture bespoke marshmallows if that's what he does?
I don't know. Do you know the reason why he called it Boomf? He said that's the sound that a packet of marshmallows makes when it's posted through the letterbox and hits the doormat.
Oh, yeah.
So this is a bit like wine delivery. This is marshmallows, okay?
Yeah.
But however, in October...
Well, what's so special about his marshmallows?
Well, I suppose that they're high-class marshmallows, okay?
Well, you can't get high-class marshmallows.
Well, okay. So anyway, so the difficulty seems to be that Boomf isn't going so well.
Right.
And it says here, in October it emerged that the confectionery company lost almost £1 million last year and has increased its bank debt by taking out a £500,000 loan with Barclays, OK?
Right.
And this is a report I'm reading from one of my business journals, right?
Yes.
Now, it says, Mr. Middleton, that's James, started his first venture, the now defunct Cake Kit Company, with an £11,000 loan from his uncle, Gary Goldsmith. He's rather the black sheep of the family type guy within the family, you know, who leads a sort of bizarre life on a boat in Mallorca or something. James is hoping that the Moon Pig magic will rub off on him because the Moon Pig people...
Moon Pig is a very successful company.
Very successful company.
Although I think they had a bit of a setback over Christmas because I seem to remember that they expanded their business from like sending cards to people to actually sending flowers. And loads of people used their services to send flowers to people at Christmas.
Yes.
And loads of people didn't get them.
That's right.
They didn't arrive on time.
That's right. So it says here that on January the 1st this year, Sophie Dummer was... a lady called Sophie Dummer.
Does she know somebody called Dumb?
No. Don't make jokes about it, please. Dummer.
Oh, it's too good to miss, surely.
Well, it's very obvious. I thought you would probably say that. Yeah, Sophie Dummer was quietly appointed to the role of...
Was Woody Harrelson in that as well?
No. Of Chief Executive Officer of the Marshmallow Company to try and transform its fortunes, OK?
Yeah. Why are you telling me all this?
Because I'm going to say to you, Sophie, who is 40, was previously a commercial director of the personalised greeting card company Moonpig.
I see.
Right?
Yes.
And
I'm still trying to keep up.
And they've moved into James Middleton's marshmallow business.
Right.
And you have to assume that one of the attractions is a connection with the royal family. You have to, don't you?
Well, you would have to assume that,
yeah. And
what's the point of this story exactly?
Well, what I'm saying is that, right, he founded Boomf, this is James, in 2013 and named it after the noise a marshmallow makes when it falls through your letterbox.
Right.
Yeah?
You said that, yeah.
Yeah. The problem is, it's not
what
really...
if you haven't got a letterbox?
Well, I don't know how you'd receive your marshmallows if you haven't got a letterbox.
Because I haven't got one, as I told you.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point of this story is that...
I don't really like marshmallows.
James Middleton, who is the brother of the future Queen of England... is not doing too well in his entrepreneurial ventures.
Do you think he'll do
despite the fact that his parents are very successful, but...
Do you know what he's going to do?
He is being helped out by... business buddies in inverted commas.
Do you know what I bet you'll end up doing?
What?
Is if and when, or as and when, his sister becomes queen.
Yes.
He will become...
official supplier of marshmallows.
No. He'll become a royal correspondent for one of the American networks.
Probably.
As Princess Diana's brother did.
Yeah,
Remember,
that's right.
Viscount Althrop.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Suddenly became a journalist.
Yeah,
even though he despised all journalists. And he was working for NBC for an awful lot of money.
That's right.
And this guy sounds like he's going to do that. How about this from Gaz, who says, so the guy from the wine company forgot the wine.
Yeah,
did he check the letterbox?
I don't know.
So surely he could have posted some.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly.
I don't think it's started yet.
It's rather bizarre, actually. He turned up here, and he's very, very enthusiastic and very sociable sort of a guy. When we told him that actually we didn't want to see him on the show without the wine, he just smiled and said, I totally agree with you, and left.
Yeah. David says this, hi guys.
He's coming back next week.
He says, hi guys, I've got a Dolce Gusto coffee machine, capsules done in seconds rather than minutes. I'll never go back to instant.
Yeah.
Which is
right?
quite nice, isn't it?
Is that right?
And Gloaty Sock says, every night on the Two Mics is a one-take wonder masterclass from MG and Mike Parry.
Is that
Everything
right?
goes as smooth as could be every night. Well, I'm not sure that's entirely correct, but I think he was talking about Woody Harrelson doing the one-take thing.
Oh, I see.
And comparing us to them.
I see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Robbie says, this marshmallow company sounds about as successful as Porky's internet TV station.
Hey, listen, that's don't intrude on private grief. That's not up for discussion, I'm afraid.
No, and Richard says, I guess the food critic reached out to the box wine guys afraid to be grilled by seasoned professionals.
Yeah.
I don't think it was that.
Yeah.
I don't think it was that at all. And, of course, he is the man who cannot be named.
He definitely is. He definitely is.
Yeah.
But anyway, look, it's only a blip in the two mics rota, so to speak. And Wine Man will be back next week.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are situations sometimes where we arrange to speak to some particular guest, and for whatever reason, because we don't. It's quite rare for us to have people actually come into the studio on this particular show.
Yes.
And normally we reach them by phone. Sometimes they're not available.
Yeah, that's true. Now, Andy here claims he got his latest coffee machine from Tesco's.
There you go. Well, Tesco's sell them as well.
He says, this is Andy in the Peaks, so I don't know if he lives in the Peak District.
I think
maybe.
he does, yeah. I think that's the point.
And he says, got my latest coffee machine from Everyman Tesco. What's Everyman Tesco?
Every man's maybe he's meaning like it's a shop for every man as opposed to a snobby shop like John Lewis.
Oh, I see. Yes,
I think that's kind of his point.
That's it. Yeah, he said. Sadly, it's not got Velcro straps though, so it wouldn't suit you, Porky. Yeah, you see, you made this ridiculous assertion that some of my clothes are held together by Velcro straps, which is not true. I don't have any Velcro straps.
No, only your shoes are.
Well,
not even all of them.
Do they look like Velcro?
No, well, not all of them.
My new ones look like Velcro. Yeah.
They certainly do.
My new sand boots.
Oh, you've got new boots on.
Yes.
Oh, we'll have to get a picture of those. Those are very nice.
Yes.
Where'd you get those from?
I can't reveal.
Really?
No.
No, but they don't look like your normal footwear. You look as if you've gone up in the world a little bit.
I have a varied footwear wardrobe.
Have you put the insoles in them as well for your balance?
They have got inserts.
Inserts?
Insoles.
Insoles? Okay.
Yes, definitely.
Jolly good.
Right. What are we saying here? Oh, yes. Asked a question. Have we made a new appointment with the wine man? The answer is yes. That'll all happen next week.
Yeah, it will happen next week.
But, of course, we will not be tasting the wine on this show because, generally speaking, unless we make superior arrangements, we do generally drive home after this particular...
We do, which is a bit of a pain, actually. I'll tell you what, maybe what we'll do on the night that they come in next week, maybe we'll forego the cars.
Yeah, maybe we will. Maybe we will, and make a real evening of it.
Make alternative arrangements.
Yes.
Well, you don't have to get completely bladderated.
Well, no, what we can do is, if we're clever, you see, we do it like this.
Yeah.
We get a vehicle to bring us in.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, we don't come from the same place.
No. We get individual vehicles to bring us in, okay?
Yeah.
This is the plan.
Yeah.
Then we make the wine guest with at least 2 cases of wine, not 2 bottles, 2 cases, okay? We make him the last guest on the show.
Yeah.
So that means we sign off at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
But then we will repair to a room downstairs.
Well, just carry on drinking.
And do a lot more tasting until public transport opens up at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, that could work.
Yes.
Actually, I was at 5 during a week.
Okay, 5:30, something like that.
Yeah.
So that's a plan, isn't it?
That could work.
That's a plan.
Yeah.
Hey.
You like that plan?
I do.
All right. You'll be really annoyed, though, if he turns up without any wine again.
Well, he won't. This time he will tell me. He's not coming through the door without wine this time. I don't know why. Our high-tech security guy downstairs let him in.
Yes. Well, I mean, maybe he wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah.
It's never easy. Now, coming up in the next hour, as we say, we're talking to Mike Best, Freedom of Information activist. He's going to tell us how his part in getting all of these CIA declassified documents released. And, of course, it is Porky Vision coming up as well. This is TalkSport. This is TalkSport. We are the two mites. Gemma says that she's disappointed about the wine guys, but she can't wait until next week. So that's a bit of anticipation for you,
exactly.
Gemma, which is not bad at all.
Exactly.
Steve says, I think you're being a bit unfair to the wine guy. Porky turns up with 1/3 of a heart, half a brain, and he gets through security.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah. I'm not going to respond to, drivel like that.
No,
okay?
Quite right too.
Yeah.
And here's one from Paul, who says, this is a great place for Porky to increase his extensive property portfolio, and it's a West Village townhouse in New York City, right?
Yeah.
A snip at $16,750,000
in the West Village,
and there it is. It's you'll recognise that. It's one of those houses that you see in the West Village all the time.
But I don't like that part of Manhattan. You
Do
see?
you not?
No, I like skyscrapers, and I just love the awe and the majesty of.
The West Village is a very nice part of the world, and it's also been done up an awful lot since.
But it's not like being in Manhattan, is it? It's like being in another district.
No, but it's got the sort of New York flavour.
Oh, indeed.
It's just slightly less noisy.
I agree. Talking about skyscrapers, by the way, right?
Yeah.
I got an update on the world's skyscrapers today. More skyscrapers were built last year than ever before, so the world's been taken over by skyscrapers, as a result of a construction boom in China. And although there's been, many reports over the last 18 months of a slowing down in the Chinese economy, it's not slowing down, it's speeding up.
Did you see that story today, by the way, of the first train from China that pulled into Britain? 11,000 miles later.
I meant to mention this to you. It hasn't actually arrived in Britain yet, has it?
It has, yeah. It arrived yesterday afternoon.
Because I was going to tell you about it leaving last week.
Yeah.
I mean, that really is such great news because what it does is it brings back the memories of the great trade trails, doesn't it?
You mean the opium trade and all that?
Well, more like the Silk Trade. The Silk Trade Road and the Opium Trail Road, I suppose.
Wasn't that done mostly on ships, though?
No, a lot of it was overland. That was the whole point. The whole point was that Marco Polo and all that lot, right? They used to bring the stuff back from, the mystic East and all that over these land trails.
Oh, okay.
Coming over, like Perchoir.
But in sort of caravans.
In caravans and across mountains and all that kind of stuff. Right. It was exotic. And this is the first, as you quite rightly say, the first train to arrive from China full of goods, which is both a good and bad thing. It's much cheaper than bringing it by air or by ship.
Right.
Difficulty is it's limited in its quantity because a train can only carry so much.
From what I could see of the footage of it, it was full of sort of containers, basically.
Yeah, that's right.
Probably not quite as big as the ones you'd see on ships.
That's right.
But certainly you could ship cars that way. You could ship,
definitely.
All manner of goods
definitely.
and services both ways.
Without a shadow of a doubt, I think it's a great thing because I think railways are so romantic, aren't they, in the mystery and the mystique of them.
Yeah, here's a picture of it in the Times. And it's a freight train packed with £4 million worth of Chinese goods.
Yep.
And it arrived at Barking yesterday.
Really?
The only slightly I would say, cheesy aspect of it was that as it pulled into the final stopping spot...
Didn't have a banner on the front.
There was a little banner on the front, and as it went through it...
That's right.
It sort of set off these rather pathetic-looking
fireworks.
It wasn't even fireworks.
No, exactly.
It was
sparklers.
Like sort of, poppers.
Yeah, that's
or
right.
something, which wasn't particularly exciting.
Yeah, they could have done better with that one.
But 7,500 miles over 18 days.
And the train itself looked like something from the 1950s, didn't it?
It looked a bit like a tube train.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I mean. Yeah,
and from Yiwu in China.
Yeah, it didn't look like a super sleek, modern, sort of magnetic floating train.
We were talking about these boat trains yesterday.
Yes.
Presumably it has to move onto different sort of gauges at some point or other, because not every gauge in the world is the same.
I don't know how that works. You're absolutely right.
According to this, it's come overland through Kazakhstan, through bits of southern Russia, Belarus, a bit of Poland, a bit of Germany, a bit of Belgium, and then into Barking in East London.
What a journey that would have been, eh?
Yeah.
Let's try and
to be on it,
let's try and get on that sometime, But getting back to the skyscrapers, a total of 128 towers measuring more than 200 metres were completed worldwide, compared with only 106 in the previous year.
China, is this all over China?
It's mostly China.
Yeah.
China accounted for 2/3 of the tallest buildings built in the year.
Right.
These included the tallest building of the year, 530 metres high, Gungshao CTF Finance Centre.
Right.
Now that one, the Gungshao, I can tell you, is, let me have a look here, it's nearly twice the size of the Shard.
Really?
Now, without giving any secrets away, because we were on a secret mission today, we were at the Shard today.
We were.
And we took a picture of the longevity of it into the sky.
That's right.
It is enormous.
It is.
Very
impressive.
This building in China is nearly twice the height.
Yes.
Can you believe that?
Absolutely, because there are buildings in the US which are twice the height of the Shard. I mean, the Shard, in American terms and in worldwide terms, it's not that big. I mean, it's the biggest skyscraper, I think, in Europe.
It's 310 metres.
Yes. It's big. I mean, remember the World Trade Center used to be something like 1,076 feet high or something like that. Yeah. Which is a little higher than that, isn't it?
Yeah. Probably metres it was, in fact, yeah. Now, it says here, no skyscrapers were completed in the UK in 2016. Well, when was the Shard completed then? Was that 2015?
Maybe 2014.
2014, something like that. Okay, yeah. But works on a number of projects is underway.
Right.
For instance, 22 Bishopsgate.
Yes.
Described as a slab-like office block in the City of London, was briefly put on hold by its French developers after the Brexit vote, but is now scheduled for completion in 2019.
Right.
In the financial district, we'll get its tallest ever tower to date, one undershaft.
One undershaft?
Yeah, that's a funny name, isn't it?
It's an unfortunate name, isn't
it? Yeah, it is. That'll be completed in 2020.
Right. There's one just up the road from us, isn't there, around the corner here on Stamford Street?
I think it's
which is going to be an apartment complex and a whole plaza.
And a hotel.
And a hotel.
And it's called One Blackfriars, and it's magnificent. I mean, I have investigated buying a place
Have you?
there. It is way out of my league.
Is it?
Way out of my league.
Wow.
The cheapest apartments there, from what I can gather, having gone and made some inquiries, is over £1 million.
Is that right?
And there's going to be a hotel in the block and everything. And the total irony of it is that it is on a site right opposite, literally, the Daily Express building where you and I worked.
Indeed, which they're about to knock down.
Well, they're about to knock down.
So presumably they're going to put something else massive up there.
I would imagine so, yeah. But it makes the Daily Express building, when we moved into it, and that was 30 years ago, right?
Yeah. I can't believe that.
I can't believe that, but it was
That's
30
shocking.
years ago. It is shocking, but it was 30 years ago. That was a state-of-the-art building built with the finest Italian slate and beautiful windows and everything.
Yeah.
And we all went there and said...
Well, the lobby was very, very impressive.
Yeah, we all said this is the future. Well, now they've built One Blackfriars, a magnificent building which sprouts sort of small at the base and then widens out as you go up, almost like a bowl of flowers. It's a fantastic building. It makes the Express building on the opposite side of the road look perfectly tawdry.
As with many things, it used to be the future, now it's the past.
It is, yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
No, it is absolutely right.
But, I mean, the London skyline now is sort of is punctuated with loads and loads of cranes, isn't it? I mean, there's some very unusual-looking buildings.
Oh, yeah.
Some people don't like many of the buildings that have gone up, but I think it looks great.
And there's a lot more going up. And by the way, what you said about coffee shops, I had a research of that, right?
Yes.
You won't believe it, but Britain's high streets are now undergoing a dramatic overhaul. Cake makers, people who make their own cakes, juice bars,
juice makers,
and coffee shops, replacing, how about this, pubs, snooker halls and comedy clubs.
Well, I told you that. I mean, I said, because you've highlighted this before, that the coffee revolution is by no means a trend that is going to go away. Because, if anything, it's getting more and more and more popular.
Yeah,
in fact, Ernie has just sent this picture in. He says, enjoying his first mocha of the day. And he says, get with the times, Porky. So he's got one as well.
Oh, yeah.
And these are not members of the metropolitan elite. These are ordinary people who have got these things.
Get me a mocha, love, will you? You know, want it with me cornflakes. Yeah, thanks a lot. Now
I'm going to buy you one of these just to spite you.
Yeah, but you won't believe this, but I do. The largest growth areas are cake makers, right?
Yes.
Cake makers, 51% growth in the last 2 years.
Well, we've got a very sweet tooth in this country.
Yeah, that's people who just make cakes, right? And sell them, their own cakes.
Yeah.
Juice bars, 46% increase.
You just said that.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is, down my way, guess what else is incredibly popular?
I don't know.
A woman came along and
kebab shops.
No, kebab shops are declining. You don't have kebab shops in good areas. Like, there's no kebab shops in Stockbroker Belt, Surrey.
I don't believe that.
No, there are none.
Are you telling me there's no kebab shops in Sutton?
No,
I bet you I can find one.
Listen, I don't even know if Sutton is even in Stockbroker Belt, Surrey, but I'm sure there's no kebab shops there. And also, let me tell you this. This woman came along and she opened a shop, and do you know what it serves? It just serves the, like, flambe things. What are they called?
Flambe things?
Yeah, you know.
Pancakes?
Yeah, that sort of stuff. But what are they called? What's the proper
when you
name?
flambe something, you set it on fire.
Yeah, that's right. But what's the proper name for it?
What do you mean, crepes?
Crepes, that's what it is. It's called the crepe shop, right?
Crepe shop, yeah.
And that's all she serves. And people queue down the road to get in there.
In Hampstead, there's been a creperie, which is just on a movable little kind of stand, if you like,
right?
Which has been there since I was a teenager,
right?
And it's very popular. It's still there,
right?
But now it's all over the place.
But this is a crepe shop, right? And I'm not joking. It's absolutely so popular. I think she's going to expand it into the building next door.
Yeah,
it's amazing. Amazing
There's a place
discovery.
called Anatolia Kebab in Epsom.
In Epsom?
Yeah.
Well, I'd be
there's
very
a place
surprised.
called the Legend Kebabs. What do you mean you'd be very surprised? It's
very
there.
Surprised.
Anatolia Kebab Shop, 51 Upper High Street. Here's another one, Sam's, 78 East Street.
What, in Epsom?
Yeah.
No.
It is.
I bet they only open for a week or two around the Epsom Derby.
Don't be ridiculous. They'll be there all the time.
Really?
People eat kebabs all the year round.
I've never seen a kebab shop in Stockbroker Belt. We don't approve of them.
And there's one called Sutton Kebab in Sutton.
No, rubbish.
There is.
Nah, I can't believe that.
Do you want me to start tweeting them out?
Well, I don't know Sutton very well, so I can't make comment on that.
There's
but
a couple in Banstead as well.
No, there's not.
Yeah,
no, Banstead.
Yeah, there is.
Banstead's a quaint Middle England little town, and there's no kebab shop.
Everybody has a kebab shop.
No.
There's one called King's Kebab, 9 The Parade, Banstead. Flame Grill, 171 High Street, Banstead. It is.
Do you know what they are? I'll tell you what they are.
What?
They're actually fast food shops who just have a little bit of a kebab stand or something like that. They're not kebab shops.
Well, they sell kebabs.
No, they're not kebab shops,
What would you call a place that sells a kebab?
Fast food takeaway joint.
Well, that's what they are, but they're also kebab shops.
No.
Well, it's called King's Kebab.
Well...
What more do you want?
I'm not sure about
All right.
that.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Upwards of 800,000 people in the centre of Washington, D.C., which is going to be a fascinating sight, amongst other things. But as luck would have it, because so much news is coming out of the United States at the moment.
Indeed.
Another fabulous story broke yesterday, quite late the night before. And Mike Best is a journalist, freedom of information activist, archivist and counterintelligence expert. He was involved in crowdfunding to try and get this to happen. And what has happened is the CIA have released something like 13 million pages of documents which were formerly classified, now declassified, about all sorts of interesting things, including the papers of Henry Kissinger, something called the Stargate Project, all sorts of conspiracy theory type stuff. Let's talk to Mike and find out what it's all about. Mike, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Mike, good to hear you on the show.
Now, I mean, this is one of those stories where you kind of realise the magnitude of it the more you look into it, really. 13 million pages is an awful lot of material, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and that's one reason why it's so great that it's online now. Before, it was limited to 4 computer terminals located just outside of Washington, D.C., so almost no one could get to them before, and only a couple of people at a time. And now experts from all over the world and just everyday amateurs and curious citizens can start looking at this stuff themselves. And, that's a huge boon to historians and journalists and just curious everyday people.
Yeah, Mike, am I right that the papers that have been declassified and released, the 13 million pages of declassified documents, are available to the public? It's just that what you've done is you've made them more readily available and people don't have to troop off down to the National Archives in Maryland to have a look at them.
Yeah, right. Before the documents were technically available to the public, if you were willing to go down to College Park, Maryland, and according to the signs that CIA had posted, be under constant surveillance while you looked at these public declassified documents. And so now, whereas before it was technically available to people, now it's actually accessible in a way that doesn't sound like a joke from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah, okay, fine. But where do we draw the line, Mike, between, freedom of information, which we all believe in as journalists, and the right to tell people what's going on in our country, and a possible threat to national security? I mean, you'll say, well, they're declassified already, but if the CIA still feel that there's a need to monitor people who are reading these papers, then they must still be incredibly sensitive.
The thing is that they're not sensitive. Every one of these documents, in addition to being declassified, is at least 25 years old. And in addition to that, the stuff that the CIA is really concerned about is simply being caught in their own lies and people finding out things like, oh, CIA was up to this. CIA accused NSA of doing that. And
but don't you accept, I'm sorry to interrupt, but don't you accept that the CIA have to be covert and they have to be sometimes in a position to deny what they are up to?
They have to be accountable as well, though.
But then be accountable is one thing, but having to act in a manner which is, perhaps inappropriate to truthfulness is sometimes what the CIA do. They're not going to, issue a list of people that they're on their list of potential assassination victims, are they?
Well, I mean, that is a good point, and there's 2 things to keep in mind. And the first is that of everything that was reviewed for automatic declassification, CIA actually declassified about 10% of that. So 90% of the stuff that was eligible to go on to CREST isn't there. So quite a bit is already being excluded. And second of all, you're right. Sometimes they do have to do nasty things. But the thing is that still requires accountability at the end of the day. Necessity knows no law. I agree with this. But that only applies if people are willing and able to stand up afterwards and say, we had to break the law in this instance.
Right.
That's basically what justifiable homicide is it's illegal to kill someone. But in this instance, I had no choice because it was going to save my life and the life of these 2 innocent children. And what you don't do is say, oh, well, it was a justified kill, but I'm going to bury the body in the woods. That's
where it
not
starts
okay.
to get tricky.
At the end of the day, you have to be accountable.
Now, some fascinating stuff which has been highlighted. I've not had a chance to sort of go through it all, and people may well want to go online and find some of this stuff. But, there's a collection of reports on flying saucers. There's a recipe for invisible ink, which sounds remarkable. There's a study of tests that was done on Uri Geller, who's a guy that we know quite well over in this part of the world. Something called Stargate Project. Yeah. I mean, there's a whole sort of, years and years of reading here, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, the records go back all the way to World War II with the CIA's predecessor, the Office of Strategic Services. And, I mean, even some of those documents, well, on the one hand, they seem kind of boring because it's old World War II stuff, and we all know the Nazis were horrible and the Nazis lost. But they also go into a lot of really interesting things. One of those OSS documents talks about the assets that they had in the Vatican and what the Vatican was doing to help the war effort against the Nazis and everything that was going on there.
And what about the JFK sort of conspiracy theories? There's some papers on that as well.
There is stuff in there that relates to JFK and some of the figures surrounding that, but it's also, in some instances, quite conspicuous what's missing. For instance, if you were to do a search for records on James Angleton, who was the CIA's counterintelligence chief for many years, including the period of the Kennedy assassination, you will find a fair number of records mentioning him, but far fewer than what was actually generated and what you would expect to see. And in fact, a lot of documents that are declassified aren't on Crest because they weren't declassified as part of the 25-year program. So you have a lot of documents declassified by, like, say, the Warren Commission, which investigated the Kennedy assassination. But those documents, while they're declassified in public, they're not on the CIA website, they're not in the Crest database, etc.
Okay, now this is a massive project that you've been involved in here, Mike, and as I said, the documents were technically declassified before you made them available to a much wider public. What was your response, please, to President Obama reducing the sentence of Chelsea Manning from 35 years to 6 years, based on the fact that the work that Chelsea Manning did put national safety at risk in a very big way?
That's a really complicated question that I don't particularly want to tackle in a very limited time frame. But I will say that I'm quite glad that Chelsea Manning was given the commutation and President Obama properly ignored the pleas for Snowden to be pardoned. Beyond that, I think that she probably would be dead soon if her sentence wasn't commuted, which is probably the greatest single argument for clemency in this instance. She was headed for suicide.
Yeah, I mean, she's a very complicated individual as well. I mean, didn't Snowden also say that he didn't wish to have his sentence commuted, that he would quite happily stay where he was?
To be honest, I'm not sure about that. I've mostly stopped listening to Snowden because he's quite inconsistent and evasive at times, and I feel pretty disingenuous with some of his statements and offerings.
Now, you managed to raise something like $15,000 to visit the archives and get all of this stuff out there. If someone wants to go and try and find it, is there an easy way of doing that and an easy way of navigating through it? Because obviously there'll be people listening to the show who would like to have a look at some of the stuff, but they might not be able to sort of spend days and weeks and months, trawling through it all. Is there a quick way of doing it that you can tell us about?
Sure. If you go to the CIA website, cia.gov, and you check out their library and their electronic reading room, you'll see a couple of options for searching. You can go by different categories. You can search by date. And on the left-hand side, you'll see a link that says Crest 25-Year Program. If people click on that, they'll then see a number of other links appear below it that have the different categories of press documents, like the Kissinger documents, Stargate, the Berlin Tunnel documents. And that makes it a lot easier to break down and approach things by at least a specific category.
Mm-hmm. And Mike, what is the most significant thing you have learned in going through this massive project which you undertook? Was there one, massive sort of revelation or belief or understanding that suddenly hit you in the face?
Well, there's a couple of things. One is a fairly big and obvious example when you see the memo. It was a CIA memo written by someone who was relatively senior in the agency, and they, in very clear terms, accused the NSA director and the Secretary of Defense of sabotaging the NSA. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, that's a major accusation, and when you put it into the context of declassified NSA documents, it makes it look like the NSA director sabotaged their agency for a promotion. Mm-hmm. On the flip side, some of the most important things are actually very subtle and easy to miss. There was one CIA memo about a media luncheon that had a throwaway reference to someone called Morton Jackson. And it was a mention to the CIA director that, this is the journalist who found the name Morton Jackson in connection with Watergate. Mm-hmm. And that was it. There's no other mentions to him, but they're obviously very concerned about it. Do a little bit of digging, find out he was a CIA employee who was involved in planning the Ellsberg fielding break-in, executing and covering up Watergate. And that not only that, but CIA managed to hide this through several layers of congressional inquiries.
Yeah, that is...
there is a whole wealth of stuff there.
Yeah,
I mean, Mike,
absolutely.
we could probably keep you on for hours and hours and hours. We've got to go. Thank you very much indeed. Mike Best there, journalist, freedom of information activist, archivist as well. I'm not sure if anybody wants to go on the CIA website because they might be worried that they will then be hacked by the CIA.
Well, not only that...
Donald Trump's been telling everybody that, the whole of America is getting hacked by the Russians, by the Chinese and all the rest of it.
That's right. The NSA, by the way, is the National Space Agency.
National Security Agency, isn't it?
It is. Space and security.
It's nothing to do with space. You're
National
in space.
Security Agency.
Yeah, thank you very much. NASA is the thing you're thinking of. This is Talk Sport.
As your TV reviewer, I can reveal there are no plans for a new series.
Yeah, no, but wasn't there a previous series?
Oh, hang on, wait a minute. It says here there might be a new series. What's your problem?
That music can only mean one thing. It is, of course, that time of the week when we listen to Mr. Parry's revelatory discussions about some of the stuff that's been on television.
Yeah.
So where you go? What do you got for us this week? You did sort of slightly give the game away when you said you were going to do something on taboo.
Taboo?
Yeah.
Yeah, I will. Taboo in a minute. Yeah,
right.
In a minute.
Okay.
Now then, first of all, Halcyon, right?
Halcyon, yes.
Now, this is about the hotel.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid it's just gone rubbish.
Has it?
Yeah, it's just gone rubbish, yeah.
Is that a television term?
Well, I thought the first episode was pretty good because that was all about, a lot of Roger Rising.
Yeah.
Lord Hamilton had a young mistress, died of a heart attack, whilst engaging in horizontal refreshment and all that kind of stuff.
As you do.
Yeah, that's all really good. And then the second one, it was the battle for power, between Lady Hamilton and the hotel manager and all a bit of intrigue and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But in the third episode, it's just gone rubbish. Because there's no great drama,
right.
There's no Roger Rising.
Is it meant to be a kind of Downton Abbey style sort of saga?
Yes, it is, yeah. But I tell you where it's gone completely wrong. It's now been massively gripped by political correctness.
Oh, right.
And they've taken political correctness right back to the start of the Second World War.
When it didn't exist.
Right. So what happens is, right, so this is a huge hotel along the scale of, sort of...
The Adelphi.
Well, no. No, it's compared to the Dorchester and all this kind of stuff in fiction terms.
Yes.
And two things happen. First of all, the chef is a bit of a loudmouth in the kitchen, and he's a bit of a rough diamond. But I mean, he's only really how we've seen people like that guy, David Beckham's mate portrayed as a chef. You know the guy?
David Beckham's mate.
David Beckham's mate. He goes on holiday with him.
Does he?
Yeah, he was in. He was in on that island when they had the row with. the Formula One chap.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking
Mauritius?
Gordon Ramsay.
Oh, Gordon Ramsay,
yeah.
Okay.
So we've seen...
Well, he's not just David Beckham's mate. I mean, he's a celebrity chef. He owns restaurants all over the country.
Yeah, but they go on holiday together.
Yeah, but he's not defined
Anyway, Gordon
by that.
Ramsay, when we've seen these live programmes...
He used to play for Rangers.
Yeah, well, he claims he did, yeah.
Well, be very
careful. He played for Rangers at some stage.
He did.
But I think that he's allowed the public to sort of get a more inflated image of
Possibly
his role at Rangers. I'm not saying he didn't play for Rangers.
Yes. He's certainly photographed in a Rangers kit.
Oh, yeah, it's at what level he played for Rangers. Yeah. Now then, what I was going to say is, so we've seen Gordon Ramsay rough and readily sort of, running his restaurants.
Yes.
And chefs are like that.
Right.
So this chef in the Halcyon is portrayed as a really rough diamond, loudmouth. He's quite coarse and terse with his staff, and has very old-fashioned values.
Yes.
Or at least they're portrayed as being old-fashioned but wicked values, you see. Shouting at people, telling them what to do, all that kind of stuff. And, believe it or not, and you've got to go back now to the start of the war in 1939, he doesn't like Germans. And
well, that's not particularly surprising.
Well, this is what I'm saying. So the script writers have made him out to be, really a bit of a nasty individual.
Yes.
Because he doesn't like Germans.
So he's supposed to be something unusual about that.
I was just about to say, we're on the verge of just about to start the Second World War against Germany.
Yeah.
And the chef is now being portrayed in the script as a really nasty bit of stuff.
Right.
Because he doesn't like Germans,
Ignorant,
right?
Yeah.
So just to emphasise his dislike of Germans, the script writers introduce a German commie chef.
Uh-huh.
And the story behind it is that, well, the poor old commie chef, he's been persecuted by people in Germany.
He's escaped Germany and come to London.
He's escaped Germany and come to London.
Right.
However, you have to understand, and I think Bert Trautmann, the Manchester City goalkeeper...
Bert Trautmann's not in it, is he?
No, he's not in it, no, but he was a German.
Right.
He was a German.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of suspicion about him because he was German. But that was after the war.
Yes.
And the war was over then. But this is before the war.
He still played top-class football, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
He
but
wasn't like put in an internment camp or anything.
I think he was sent to the Isle of Man for a while.
Was he?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. But anyway, so getting back. So, I would have thought it was the most... If we were suddenly somebody announced that tomorrow we're actually at war with Russia... then you'd be a bit reluctant, wouldn't you, to sort of start confiding in your Russian neighbour about what's going on in the country if you worked at a security establishment or something like that.
Yes, that would be tricky.
Yeah, so this German guy turns up and he is being promoted by the management of the hotel.
Right.
And, of course, the chef says, don't want no damn Germans in my kitchen. That's a natural reaction. And I would imagine 99.9% of the country felt like that.
Possibly so.
But anyway, they then take it to ludicrous extremes because old Lord Hamilton, who's dead, right, they suddenly discover that the German commie chef has nicked, right, a pair of Lord Hamilton's cufflinks.
Cufflinks?
Yeah.
Right.
And they found them in his locker.
Uh-huh.
So, of course, the chef says it's disgraceful,
This is obviously evidence of his, insurrection.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's got to go. But no, one of the assistant managers steps in and says, oh, well, hang on, I think we're being a bit too harsh here.
Yes.
The poor guy was booted out of Germany, because he didn't think the same way as the Nazis. He said, and he only stole the cufflinks to be able to sell them to a pawnbroker and send the money back to his family in Germany.
Right.
Well, my reaction to that is, but he's a thief, and he stole from his employer.
Well, I suppose there might have been people back in those days who still were slightly compassionate.
Well, anyway...
It's not necessarily PC, is it?
Anyway, so the chef says, if I can't trust somebody, I can't have them working in my kitchen, I don't like thieves, and I don't like Germans,
Yeah.
So anyway, the young sort of, very trendy assistant manageress comes into the kitchen and says, we've decided to forgive... the German thief.
Yeah.
Can
you keep the cufflinks as well?
Well, nobody knows what's happened to the cufflinks, and the chef says, "Oh, that's unacceptable to me." And she says, "Well, he's coming back." And the chef says, "No, he's not. It's him or me." And she says, "Bye, chef." And it's ludicrous.
And that's the end of that.
Absolutely ludicrous. Yeah, and the chef...
And is that like one whole programme just based on this guy?
Yeah, basically. Basically.
So no Rogerisation at all?
No Rogerisation, no bladderisation, Nobody's drinking cocktails. Nobody's having fun in the hotel. There's just huge political statement about all Germans in 1939 were good people.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's ridiculous.
Didn't quite turn out that way.
No, it didn't turn out that way, actually. No, I mean, you know, the old SS, you know.
So are you saying Halcyon is not something to watch then now?
Well,
it's gone over the edge.
It completely lost its appeal to me.
Yeah.
I mean, the SS were more famous for extracting people's toenails with pliers than being kindly and cooking in kitchens.
Doesn't make all Germans horrible, though.
It doesn't make all Germans horrible. In fact, I'm a huge respecter of the German nation and their work ethic and the fact that they produce very nice Mercedes cars and that kind of stuff.
Well, you drive one.
But I do think that if a German thief turns up in a hotel in London and has nicked Lord Hamilton...
Well, any kind of thief, really.
Lord Hamilton's cufflinks, particularly as Lord Hamilton's dead, that quite frankly, I think that I'd rather stick with my chef, who's a good guy, even if he's a bit of a loudmouth, rather than the cufflink thieving German. This is what I'm thinking. You know what I mean?
Now you've hardly got any time left to do anything else. Now, would you like to do anything else?
What was the other one I was going to talk about?
You've been telling me you're going to talk about.
Very good.
For about a week.
Very good. Written by Stephen Knight, of course, a genius who wrote Peaky Blinders, and it's brilliantly dark. And it's one of those kind of shows, right, after watching the first 2 episodes, which I'm definitely going to watch again to try and understand from the start.
Yeah, it's quite complex.
All the bits of the plot.
Yes, I mean, I have to say, I've watched it as well.
The bit that foxed me...
Excuse me, I was just in the middle of a sentence.
But I'm doing the TV review and you're interrupting.
I'm not interrupting you.
Finish sentence quickly.
What I was saying is I found it quite difficult to know what it was all about, really.
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
Why don't you tell me?
So anyway...
Why don't you tell me what the story is?
I'm just about to tell you.
Yeah.
So the guy who was, the great Jewish gangster in Peaky Blinders. What's his name again?
You want me to tell you? I thought it was your TV review.
Come on, you tell me.
No, it's your TV review. You've just told me. I don't want to interrupt you.
Anyway, he's a different character altogether, but just as sort of scary, really, you know. And he's driving across
First name's Tom.
Tom, that's right, yeah. Dryburgh?
What?
No, he's a politician. Yeah. Anyway, he's riding to London on a horse, and he passes a milepost which says 20 miles to London.
Yes.
So I assume he's somewhere like Buckinghamshire or somewhere, right? Okay.
Well, how do you know which way he's coming?
Well, I've no idea, but I mean...
Well, isn't he coming from Africa?
Maybe he's in Kent. Yeah, maybe he's come across the water.
You would imagine he's come from the east, from the east, wouldn't you?
Anyway, he passes this 20-mile, milepost. And he just gets off his horse and he walks 15 paces to the right with a spade the size of a child's spade on a beach to build a castle. And he digs a hole in the ground on something like Hampstead Heath or something, right? And puts his hand into it and pulls out a bag of diamonds worth about 2 million quid.
A bit like Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, except that how on earth you could possibly find that on Hampstead Heath? It's such a tiny little bag.
How do you know it was Hampstead Heath?
Well, it was something like Hampstead Heath.
Well, presumably somebody had told him, or he had buried it next to the milepost.
Yeah, but have you ever seen Treasure Island? They spent 3 weeks trying to find a huge trunk full of treasure, right, on Treasure Island.
Yeah, but that's because they didn't have a milepost to mark where it was.
Yeah, but this was so...
Well, this is obviously a milepost. You walk 15 paces to the right, and you dig, and there it is.
How long is a pace?
Well, everyone knows how long a pace is. It's generally speaking about a yard.
No, if a man is 6'5", a pace is about 35 inches. If a man is 5'7", a pace is about 28 inches, right?
Well, it's roughly a yard, isn't it?
So, to get it exactly right to the spot, and do you see the spade they had? It was like a trowel. Yeah. It's like a gardening trowel.
I don't know why that's so difficult to believe.
No, it's impossible to believe. And here it is, I've got me millions worth of diamonds now. Right. Nobody told you where they've come from, anything like that.
It's not meant to be a documentary.
So then he goes and buys a boat.
It's not meant to be a documentary.
So with his money, he goes and buys a boat.
It's a drama.
And everybody gets upset. The king is in this, by the way.
King who?
I don't know which king it is, but he's got gout and he's lying around drinking and swearing a lot and then ordering his men to go around shooting other people.
That's not the Prince Regent?
No, he's the king.
Is it?
He looks like the king.
I don't think he is the king.
Is he not the king?
I don't know.
I thought he was the king.
It's your TV review, not mine.
Yeah. Well, he acts like the king.
We're out of time now, anyway.
Oh, well, don't worry, because,
I'll come back to that next week.
Yeah, we'll come back to it. I'm going to watch it again. I'll watch it again.
Okay, brilliant stuff. Okay. That was, of course, Porky Vision. The same again next week.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Today you and I are not the same. You say you like the sun, I like the rain. But still before we go, do it all again. You better catch your own train.
This is Talk Sport. We are, of course, the two mics. The Porky Quiz coming up tomorrow. It's going to be on Washington, D.C. It's going to be quite an exciting show because it's going to be on the eve, just a few hours before the inauguration of Donald Trump, 45th President of the United States of America. 800,000 people at least are expected to be there. So we'll be talking to our Times correspondent who's over there for...
apparently half of them are going to be protesters, apparently.
See, I don't believe that. I don't think they will be because quite often you get these protesting groups saying that we're going to be marching on the Washington and we're going to be doing this, that and the other. I mean, most of the people that I've seen protesting, Channel 4 News last night, in fact, was covering quite a few of these events, demonstrations that were going on across the country, saying, we don't want people in charge who are climate deniers and all that. There was only about 10 of them. Outside of some office somewhere in Denver. So I think, you've got to take it with a bit of a pinch of salt. It may well be that it becomes, bizarrely, the sort of the people's inauguration.
That's right.
More and more, because, all these Democrats and various Congress people who are saying they're not going to go. Are boycotting an event which Trump couldn't care less whether they go to or not. And he's actually said to them, well, if you're not going to go, can we please have your tickets and give them to people who would like to go?
That's right,
Which I think is quite a mature attitude. Really.
And what you say about, the old climate change lobby, which has become a massive, massive industry, huge industry, worth trillions of pounds a year, which keeps people in cushy jobs, but actually there isn't really a job there because nobody knows if there is climate change.
Well, they do know that there is climate change. What they don't know for sure is what exactly is causing it. There's no question it's changing. They put out a statement yesterday, put out some figures yesterday that it was the hottest year on record yesterday.
Yeah, but the central issue is it man-made or not? That's the central issue.
Well, that's the point. Nobody doubts that the climate is changing.
Well, it's been changing for millions of years. Sunspots are usually the biggest problem with climate change, and it's a natural cycle. But here, I'm going to read to you a front-page story on this morning's Guardian, OK? Just to show what those who want a more realistic approach to climate change, this is what we're up against, OK? Global experts on climate change, so they just call them experts, have urged Donald Trump not to turn his back on the biggest challenge facing the planet, arguing that he can make America great again and the world safer by standing up to global warming and embracing the trillion-dollar green tech revolution.
Yes. Well, this is happening in California, and funnily enough, there was a report I watched on this last night.
Yes.
And, Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's the former governor of California, has come out against Trump and said, we in California will not do anything to change what our emissions targets are and all that kind of thing. But as a result of it, they were saying, There's, for example, these great new Tesla cars that people can drive around in, which produce zero emissions because they're electric. But they cost about 120 grand.
Well,
so until they become a sort of 20 grand car, then people aren't going to buy them.
I totally agree. They don't get the irony in this. The Guardian, it says here,
they're not big on irony. The Guardian.
No, they're not. Reversing action on climate change would mean the US being left behind in. Listen to this, Mike. The fast-growing trillion-dollar market for clean energy, transport and infrastructure. Do you know, there are people all over the world earning hundreds of thousands of dollars a year who'll be very thankful to The Guardian for trying to make out that these people are essential to the future of the world.
Yes.
When, of course, they're not.
Well, one of the points that was made in the report I saw was actually that if it is a business model that Trump wants to see work, and because it will work commercially, then he may well embrace it, because Trump isn't one particular side of the argument or the other. He believes in making it sort of work commercially. If it works commercially, he'll make it happen, because Tesla have now started selling batteries for the home, right, which can actually somehow be charged by solar panels and store the energy more efficiently in your house.
Yes.
So, it's going to be one of the many sort of battlegrounds that take place over the next 4 years.
Yeah, listen to this. So the Guardian now have been sweeping the earth trying to find some climate change people who've got the same agenda as them.
Well, they don't look very far.
So they've come up with this. John Schellnhuber.
Top man.
Schellnhuber, a climate expert, that's all they call him, a climate expert, who has advised Germany's Chancellor, Angela Merkel.
Right.
Really?
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. The Pope. Advised the Pope.
That's always good.
I told you about the Pope.
You said he was...
Everybody thinks the Pope's going mad anyway.
Right.
Yeah. And the EU. Oh, surprise. The EU as well, who spend countless trillions of taxpayers' money on all sorts of daft projects.
Yeah.
So John Schellnhuber said... Not only will this create countless well-paid, fulfilling jobs for Americans, but it will also lock in the US's geopolitical leadership for another generation. I would say to Trump, if you want to make China great again, stay the course you have promised.
Okay.
I mean, what they're saying there is,
they're kind of grasping at straws now, aren't they?
Well, what about this line? Not only will this create countless well-paid, fulfilling jobs for Americans, that is the whole point. It's an industry.
Yeah.
Climate change is man-made, is the mantra.
Well, that's their definition of creating jobs.
Exactly. It's a mantra of an industry which are literally coining in trillions of dollars a year on the fear factor.
Yeah. If in fact
it's ludicrous.
If in fact it turns out that it makes energy cheaper for people in the West, then I would be all for it. But
it makes it more expensive.
But at the moment it doesn't. And the moment that it does make it cheaper, then I think everyone will go along with it.
I totally agree.
I've got loads of tweets to read out to you because we haven't got a lot of time.
Right, come on, let's get on
some
with
of them are very, very good indeed because we want they go all the way back to our conversation about kebabs in Stockbroker Belt, Surrey.
Good.
And this one is from Coxie, who says, Kebab Land in Addleston does the best chicken kebabs and chips in Surrey. First choice of the oligarchs in Weybridge.
Really?
He says. Dickie says this, I sometimes wonder if Porky even watches these shows. The thief was Austrian and wanted to send money to his family in France. So apparently he wasn't German at all. So that whole segment about you telling us about the German chef was a load of old cobblers.
No, everybody thought he was German.
Well, he wasn't German.
Yeah,
apparently
but hang on. By that time, I think you'll find that Germany had annexed Austria and they were all one. They're one nation,
Well, Lizzie says this. Sorry, the chef that stole the cufflinks was not German. He was from Austria.
Right.
Please get it right.
Yeah, but hang on. Austrians and Germans became the same people.
Well, not really.
They did.
Jim says, Halcyon is a cliched attempt at replicating the popularity of similar programme types that do this a whole lot better.
Yes.
And Matt says the diamonds were buried by Tom Hardy right at the very beginning of the first episode of Taboo.
Right.
So you would have known they were there, right?
Yeah.
So when he goes back for them, you wouldn't be surprised. And here's one from James. He says, so does Porky want Tom Hardy in Taboo to spend the next 4 episodes trying to locate his little bag of diamonds? That would be riveting TV. Imagine walking around in the field.
That's right.
You found them yet,
Where's
Tom?
me diamonds?
You found them?
Yeah. By the way, he bought a boat, but then went off and set fire to somebody else's boat for some reason.
Yeah.
Which you can't work out.
It's quite confusing.
It's quite confusing.
Not as confusing as Sherlock Holmes, but there we are.
Yeah.
William says, have you ever noticed there's an awful lot of people called What's His Name? I have noticed that.
Yeah. By the way, if I was going to do any more on Porky Vision, I saw that last episode of Sherlock Holmes. What a load of rubbish.
I've never watched it.
It's all about him and his brother having a misspent childhood or an unfortunate childhood and killing their sister or something, or the sister got killed.
I've got no interest in watching a modern-day version of Sherlock Holmes.
Neither have I. I totally agree with you.
Absolutely no interest. Should I tell people about the very generous gesture that you made to me earlier this week, by the way?
Oh, what was that?
Well, you handed me the first season of The West Wing.
Oh, I did, yeah. How'd it go?
Which I have to say is fascinating.
Right.
Because not only is it based very much on the Clinton administration, but because of the time that the first season went out, which was around about 1999, 2000.
Yes.
You know, it's kind of pre-Obama, and it's sort of during the whole time when the Democrats were in charge of the White House. And it's got such a great cast.
It has.
And I remember watching it sort of on and off
Yes.
when it first launched in this country,
Yes.
which I think was around about 2000. But I didn't see every episode.
Right.
But it's absolutely riveting stuff. It's so well done.
Yeah, yeah, it is,
and because of all the interest in Washington at the moment, you know, it's a great time to watch it.
It is, I agree.
So thank you. And I'm surprised, but you haven't watched it yet.
Sorry?
But you haven't watched it yet, right?
Well, I've seen most of it on TV. What happened was, and, you know, I really shouldn't say this on radio, is
you're not going to give it away, are you?
No, it was Christmas last year, and the family, you know, put pressure on you. What you want, what you want, what you want.
Terrible, that.
So I mistakenly said, I want a box set, and I must have said The West Wing, because I thought I was getting House of Cards.
Right.
Now, fortunately, I got House of Cards this year.
Right.
So The West Wing.
Well, you got it from me as well.
I got it from you as well. I've got one in each of my homes, which is great because I can watch one disc there and one disc, you know, up in town, that kind of stuff, you know, which is great. But no, the point is I've seen a lot of West Wing live because I thought it was great as well.
Yeah, it's very good. Anyway,
it's so realistic.
It's about the only thing you've ever done for me that I can say with honesty.
Oh, that's very nice.
Very nice.
Yeah,
very nice indeed. Anyway, we're out of time. Unbelievably, tomorrow we'll be back with a big show. It'll be all about Washington DC, Donald Trump, Porky Quiz, and everything else. This is TalkSport.
Look at the light!
Don't forget to follow the Two Mics at the Two Mics on Twitter and on YouTube. Just look for Two Mics TV.
Excusez-moi. Le moteur.
La voiture.
Yeah, poor. And, you know, I did the old put my hands out like wings, you know, poor.
You didn't start singing the Dam Busters.
No. But I was going, you know, l'aeropuerto. L'aeropuerto. Which apparently is Spanish, not French.
Yeah.
Benevolent dictatorships or where you have strong rule for the benefit of the people.
Give me an example of a benevolent dictator.
A benevolent dictator, maybe...
Somebody that you would admire.
Well, I don't know whether I admire him or not, but Franco, the leader of Spain...
Franco?
Yeah, he kept a fairly stable country.
Tiny little ship, yeah.
For 3 or 4 decades,
He only locked up a few thousand people.
He didn't lock a lot of people up.
If you love the Two Mics podcast, you'll love the live show. Weekday overnights from 1am on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM and via the TalkSport app. TalkSport, your Premier League station with exclusive commentaries every weekend.
What an absolute corker!
TalkSport.
I like the bells that play tunes, like dong, 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 dong.
Really?
Dong,
Is that the kind of bell you've got?
Dong, dong.
Is that the kind of bell you've got?
No, I disconnected my bell. Because people kept